Tennessee thought it had its quarterback for 2026. Now a judge in Knoxville just slammed the door shut. Joey Aguilar's preliminary injunction denied. That temporary lifeline gone. And suddenly the Vols are staring at the NCAA rulebook instead of the end zone. Tonight we're taking your calls. Did the NCAA get this right? Or is this another case of bureaucrats flexing on a player? And later, can Georgia really win a third straight SEC championship? Shotty Parker joins us to talk Kirby, culture, and contenders. Let's ride. Good evening, and welcome back to the SEC Drive. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love football, especially in the SEC, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss one moment of the SEC Drive. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. KJ Goated, Scott Walker, Bishop, Frank. Welcome into the show. Make sure you hit that like button on your way in and share the stream so that nobody misses all this content we got coming in. Appreciate everybody. Hey, yeah. OU softball 11-1 over Duke. Run ruled. Nice. 11-1 run ruled, right? They're still undefeated, aren't they? Maybe not. I don't know. I got to check on that. What up there, Goated? Scott Walker, good to see you guys. Good to see everybody in here. Listen, got to get into talking a little bit about this Joey Aguilar deal. You know, I'll be the first to tell you that I was assuming that Joey Aguilar would be playing another season at Tennessee. It appears the NCAA and its rulings are just as random as ever, even within the courts, because today, of course, you had a judge denying the claim for preliminary injunction against the NCAA, making him ineligible to play for the Volunteers in 2026. This, of course, is according to court documents obtained by On3's Chris Lowe. Chancellor Chris Haggerty, the judge of this lawsuit, ruled from the Knox County Chancery Court on Friday. Aguilar threw for 3,565 yards with 24 touchdowns and 10 interceptions in 25, and was part of the class action Pavia versus NCAA suit, later pulling out of that and deciding to file his own suit against the NCAA earlier this month. He was previously granted a temporary restraining order in the lawsuit on February 4th. He, of course, was arguing that his years playing at the junior college level should not count towards his NCAA eligibility. The 24-year-old quarterback has spent 7 years in college football, but only 3 seasons at NCAA member schools. The NCAA allows players to compete for 4 seasons within 5 years, and it counts junior college seasons towards that total and time period, even though JUCOs are not part of the NCAA. In the previous temporary restraining order, the judge had cited that Aguilar demonstrated a likelihood of success on the merits of his claim, likely violating the Tennessee Trade Practices Act. The court had also saw that Aguilar would suffer immediate and irreparable harm if the order was not issued. Aguilar argued he needed to know immediately if he was eligible to play in 2026. Friday's ruling dissolved the temporary restraining order. The judge essentially said that he hadn't proffered enough evidence to demonstrate an effect on the public other than some figures from NCAA or from decades old reporting regarding how much revenue and jobs the University of Tennessee's football team brings to Tennessee and the Knoxville community. And the court notes that it's impossible to determine what effect, if any, the relief sought by the plaintiff in this civil action could have on the public interest. Yeah. Obviously, the other part was uncertainty regarding the NCAA's eligibility rules may cause confusion for consumers of the NCAA football media, which in turn may negatively impact consumers and the public interest. In other words, regardless, the court noted that plaintiff has discussed in greater detail above. They proffered no evidence to demonstrate that the alleged anti-competitive conduct affects the public interest or how the public, downstream consumers, would be positively affected if the JUCO rule was not enforced. Thus, the court concludes that this factor neither favors nor disfavored the plaintiff. Josh Heupel recently filed a brief supporting Aguilar, stating that UT would love to have Aguilar back, but UT needs to know whether he will be eligible or not. It is essential for Joey, his coaches, and teammates, and for UT to all know the status of his eligibility as soon as possible. As he awaited his ruling, he was also invited to the scouting combine for the NFL. On3 reported he intended to plan the event for a 48-hour window rather than the full 5 days in order to retain his eligibility should he receive a favorable ruling. He, of course, redshirted in the 2019 season at City College of San Francisco. The COVID-19 pandemic canceled his 2020 season. He played in 21 and 22 at Diablo Valley before arriving at Appalachian State in 2023, playing 2 years for the Mountaineers before transferring to UCLA and ultimately to Tennessee last season when Nico Iamaleava left the Vols and landed at UCLA. So all in all, it appears that, and again, this is something I want to do before I get into any of this other stuff. I want to remind everybody that I told you last week that this didn't have a whole lot to do with what you saw out of the Trinidad Chambliss hearing, because these were two completely different cases. Chambliss is going after a 6th year, a total of 6 years to get 4 years of playing time, which is pretty standard in the NCAA when it comes to medical red shirts. And they were able to argue that point with 91 pages of documents showing that he wasn't able to play in the 2022 season. He never stepped on the field in 2022. He met all the criteria according to the NCAA's own rules. This case was intended, and it started with Diego Pavia last year, intended to change rules and bylaws within the NCAA, allowing former JUCO players to play after they had played their requisite amount of time at that JUCO level. This is a completely different story. He's already been in college football for 7 years and asking for an 8th year, essentially. Now, of course, you have seen other players get 8 and even 9 years at the college level. So it's just another example of the fact that the NCAA, in my opinion, is kind of a toothless organization. It needs judges to uphold or render its laws worthy or unworthy of essentially being followed. So I don't know. I'll get you guys' thoughts on what you think should have happened in this case. Do you think that it favors the NCAA? Does it favor the schools? Is it something that you'd like to see more of, or do you think that he should have gotten another year at Tennessee to play in college football, just due to the fact of the amount of money that he could have made? Because he's probably losing $3 to $4 million by heading to the NFL. Now, if he gets drafted at an early enough position, chances are he doesn't lose any money at all. But he could also, have bettered his draft prospects or whatever they may be. The good news, I think, is for him, obviously, he gets to play, or he gets to participate in the NFL draft combine, which will allow him to better his stock. Scott Walker says NCAA is all over the place. Who knows how they'll rule? Yeah, I think that's the main thing with me. I'm just not sure what we're doing at this point. And in the end, like I said, though, this is definitely a different lawsuit than what we saw against Trinidad Chambliss. And you know, I think that the part of it that, you know, that you could say was similar was the fact that, yeah, it was kind of a home case for him, or a home game, you know, having the case heard by a judge in Knoxville County. Of course, you had Chambliss again was in a hearing presided over by a former by a judge who went to Ole Miss, you know. But again, it's one of those deals where I feel like it's kind of it's a different deal because they're asking for different things in the end. So real quick, we're gonna bring in, well, maybe if I can get this to look right. Oh, I'll do this. I mean, I need to do one more thing here. Dang it. Yeah, almost. Hmm. Welcome into the show, former UGA quarterback Dad Shotty Parker. What's up, my guy? How we doing? Huh?
I definitely didn't play quarterback.
Former UGA wide receiver, Dad Shawty Parker. Did I say quarterback right there?
Yes, you did.
Oh, Lordy. My bad, big dog.
It's all right. I'm sure quarterback
not
is
a quarterback. Not a quarterback. He probably could have played quarterback, though. He was a big dog like that. I bet you played a little quarterback in high school.
Nah.
Nah?
I tell people all the time, I was fortunate, man, when I was in high school. You know, I only played one way. I only played one position. I didn't have to play anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I hadn't gotten a chance to get your opinion on either one of these rulings, whether it be the Chambliss one and now Joey Aguilar being ruled ineligible. What are your thoughts on both of those deals? Just start off with this one, obviously today. Obviously, as I said, they're different cases and about different things. But what were your thoughts about Joey Aguilar being denied another year?
Oh yeah, I was trying to explain that to a friend of mine's earlier. I'm in the courts a lot, so one thing I know about judges is that everything is on a case by case scenario.
Yeah.
Things that just a minute difference can be the difference in a ruling. Just one minute difference, and their cases
Sure.
were obviously different. I kind of, I agree with the ruling in the Aguilar case. I really do, and I can see the case that Chambliss had. Because in my opinion, junior college has always counted in terms of eligibility.
It did.
So that's nothing new. So to me, it makes sense. I think Chambliss had a little bit different of a case to argue, and plus, Aguilar should have had a judge from Tennessee.
I think he did, though. He did have
Did
one
he?
from Tennessee. It was in Knox County. Yeah, it was in Knoxville County.
I wonder if the judge was from Tennessee though. Cause the judge, if I'm right, the judge from the Chambliss case, he was from Oxford. He was from Mississippi.
He was. In fact, he went to Ole Miss.
That's what I'm saying. That makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there wasn't a difference, and as a matter of fact, I think that this judge went to Tennessee also. So,
wow.
As far as that goes, I think in the end it amounted to
different cases, man.
Uh huh.
They were just different cases. You know what I mean?
There are different cases for sure.
When you're looking at the law, I'm just talking about, like I say, far as I know, junior college years, as far as I've known football, has always counted towards eligibility. I mean, to me, it was black and white.
Yeah, and I think that that's basically what the argument has been in this situation. Now, of course, it was argued by Diego Pavia last year that that's not fair, particularly in view, and that it's outdated in view of the fact of there wasn't NIL back in the day. That you're harming their ability to make money at this level. You know what I mean? And their amount of time that they should be able to make money at this level. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you that was the argument.
Yeah. I'm just talking about in terms of what Pavio's saying. Like, to me, like you reaching at that point. We're not harming your ability to make money. You have the same opportunity and years of eligibility as any other kid that comes into college. Now, what you do with those years and how you spend them, that's on you.
Right.
So if you go to junior college and you're not fortunate enough to be at a Power 4 at that particular time, then you yourself are endangering your earning potential. It has nothing to do with the ruling of the law.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I think that, like I said, the argument was that, that rule was made back in the day before there was NIL and the ability to make money at that level because of your name, image, and likeness, and being, obviously at the JUCO level, there's not going to be as much ability to make money off your name, image, and likeness, in the way that you can as a star at a big program like in the SEC.
And listen to what you just said. Now, when you're talking about the letter of the law,
you
still technically have the opportunity to earn money at JUCO.
You do.
It may not be as much to your point as a P4 school, but you still have the ability. So we're not taking anything away from you.
Right. Yeah. Listen, I mean, again, I don't know that it in my mind, I don't really care so much about that. But my point was when it came to and I think a lot of people kind of feel the opposite way than what we're saying right now, because my feelings were that when it came to Trinidad Chambliss, he was going for a 6th year of eligibility, which instead of 5, the rule has always been 4 years and 5 years, right? 4 years of playing or ability to play in a 5-year period, allowing for that red shirt. But they've always allowed for a special exemption for injury, which is, your medical red shirt. So that basically they were, the argument that I made and what the argument that they made in court last week, and I was in court last week for it to hear it. The argument that they made was for them to uphold their own bylaws and allow him that 6th year, particularly when he was able to show 91 pages of medical records that show that he wasn't able to compete, nor did he compete in that 2022 season. He was also under the impression that they had already given him that medical red shirt year before he ever left to go to Ole Miss. So I
think
he
get the COVID year? Did he fall into COVID?
Yes. Well, let's see. 2020 was 2020 the COVID year, and 2019 was the COVID year.
I think 2020.
2020. So I think. See, and that's what throws it off for me, because he was definitely there, and no, he was in high school in 2020. So 2021, he got a regular red shirt. 2022, he was supposed to get the medical red shirt because he was sick as they started fall camp with that tonsillitis. It became chronic tonsillitis, according to the doctors, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't want to have surgery on it. And they had a medical, a doctor that was saying that he understood them not electing for surgery right away, because not only just because of the playing time part, he says that would have kept you from probably playing even longer. The NCAA tried to rule different than that. And
if I'm right, you can get more than one medical.
Yeah, that's what this guy from this guy from Montana certainly did. He got a second red shirt year, and so did the guy from Miami as well. Yeah. I think he got correct.
A linebacker from somewhere else, he coming into his 9th year because he got 2 medicals.
Yes, the Montana State guy is getting a 9th year. The guy from Miami is getting an 8th year. Mm-hmm. The linebacker from Miami. And I think both of them do have 2 medical red shirts, but the one in Miami, it feels like part of it is his COVID year that he's getting to add to that. So I don't know, man. In the end, as I said,
But even
I think
COVID would just
I think you do need to nail down what's going to be a rule for one person and a rule for somebody else. You know what I mean? Because they don't really. I mean, they didn't have to go to court to get those years for either of those two cases we just talked about. Whereas Trinidad Chambliss, who already was supposedly going to be given that, in fact, they even on the national championship broadcast that the NCAA put out itself, its announcers were talking about that he had a medical red shirt in 22 after the 2021 red shirt year that he had as a true freshman. So the idea, he was under the impression it had already been done. Somewhere along the line, Ferris State dropped the ball on that, didn't get it done beforehand, but he had the records to prove that he was doing it. I think the biggest thing with that case was they were fighting it, but they were fighting it without any evidence to the contrary of what he was claiming, right? They didn't bring in their own medical expert and evidence that showed that he wasn't sick.
Aguilar.
No, Chambliss.
Chambliss, okay.
They didn't bring in their own medical expert from the NCAA to contradict what was being said by Chambliss's attorneys and their medical records that they used, right? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But why even, if that's the case, you don't even really put up a fight in this Chambliss case. You didn't change the venue, try to remove the judge because he went to Ole Miss, none of that stuff. And we're supposed to, and it makes you wonder why it is. Why is that? Right? You know what I mean? So if you didn't even put up a fight, then why even why not just grant him the waiver? It was for a 6th year, not a 7th or 8th or 9th year of college football. We're talking about something that's generally rubber stamped by somebody at the NCAA whenever it comes through, right? I mean, it just is.
Sometimes it's just about optics. We all know the NCAA don't have any teeth anymore. Sometimes it's just about optics. Meaning they just needed to go through the process. We can't just grant it to you, because if we do that, it's almost like we open a can of worms. You know, the whole, once you get the toothpaste out, you can't put it back in type of thing. So they still want to go through the process, make everybody go through the process still. And at that particular point, you still got to have somewhat of an argument. I just don't think Aguilar had a great argument in the beginning, in the first place. As opposed to Chambliss. I think Chambliss, I could see why I went that way. But to your point, I don't understand how they're letting judges from the same jurisdiction oversee these cases. To me, that's a conflict of interest in some form or fashion.
It's a little weird, right? And I mean, it seems like that's something that'd be easy to move, right? If you're the NCAA, you should easily be able to get that moved to another court, even if it's in the same state. You go to a different court to a judge that can't be. Now, I'm not saying that the judge was biased. I mean, it's easy to say he was biased, but it's easy to also say, I know that he read an hour and a half long. I mean, it took him an hour and a half to read his ruling and to kind of dot his I's and cross his T's. I think he did that. Jay, you know what I mean?
Now, to what you just said, now I can't say he was biased either, but I can say it's easier for me to say he was biased, being an Ole Miss graduate.
Optics, again, you said the word optics a minute ago. I agree 100% on that. And I think I walked into that courtroom thinking the same thing, right? By the time I left there, I think I left there thinking that if the NCAA had a chance, they completely dropped the ball. You know, if they were going to have a chance, I think they completely dropped the ball on it. And I don't see. I think if we're gonna make an error, we should err on the side of the athletes, man. That's kind of where I'm at. If we're gonna make an error, we should err on the side of the athletes, because I think the NCAA has gotten away with doing things that it's unfair towards the athletes for 100 years. 100 years.
Well, since their inception.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. How far are we away from donating our eligibility to our favorite players and legally doing so? I like that. I like it. Yeah, listen, I couldn't, I got some eligibility I could send there.
I'm gonna tell you what's even more sadder. The more I think about that, you have to understand these NCAA have lawyers on retainer that go through this stuff all the time. So they should be more well versed than anyone when it comes to this. I don't know if Chambliss used Ole Miss lawyers or he went out and got his own lawyers. I don't know, but there's no way that they should have been better prepared for the case.
Tom Mars was his attorney and his legal team, and he's well versed at beating up on the NCAA in these cases. So, and I don't think he was part of this case. In fact, I know he wasn't part of the case for Joey Aguilar, but he's going to be a part of a case that's coming up, as far as I know. And I think I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I just heard his name being brought up again. Oh, and this deal with like your. Oh yeah. But he did this one he did the one for Chambliss pro bono.
What?
Yeah.
Man, so listen, that's how you play chess. Now, if you win that case for Chambliss, do you know how many NCAA players are now going to be coming at you to win these cases that you're going to actually charge for now?
Sure.
Wow.
I mean, it's conceivable that Joey Aguilar could appeal his case to the state Supreme Court and hire a new attorney.
I think he will. He had 15 days or something like that to appeal.
I think he does.
Yeah,
he's also going to be, but he's also going to I think he there's an opportunity for him to go spend some time at the draft combine, see where he stands in that. I think and get a grade. And so I think he's probably going to make his decision. And it doesn't sound like Tennessee's really counting on him to be able to be there. They just want to know whether he was going to be able to be there.
That's
right.
Fair.
But also Josh Heupel has he added multiple quarterbacks in the offseason through the portal to make sure that they're okay no matter what happens. And they have a guy that's been in the program. He's a redshirt freshman now that they like. And that he said that they were ready to go with him anyway. That's something I read back whenever I knew that this was coming to the courts. They were already been saying that. So they like the kid. I think that they're ready for him to take over the reins. He's a little skinny. He didn't put on very much weight, and I think they're concerned with that, about his ability to stay healthy. But that's why they went and got the kid, one of the kid that went to CU that started a few games last year, Colorado. Also,
oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember that kid's name, but anyway, it's all out there that he's able to kind of do. I think that he's in a position where he's going to be able to kind of deal with that. Here it is right here. I've got George McIntyre reportedly expected to be the starter if he's not granted another season. Never been a starter. Then they also have 5-star freshman Faison Brandon on campus. Obviously you don't want to have to play a true freshman if you don't have to, but if he's a 5-star and he's ready to rock and roll, they would probably put him in before they would use Ryan Staub, who's the Colorado player who came over as well. That being said, we'll kind of wait and see. But according to everything that I've read in the Knoxville news and like A to Z Sports, a couple of other things, they like McIntyre. He doesn't have a ton of experience, and I think they'd like to see him stack some more weight on. Obviously, you have time between now and the start of the season to do that. But I think that they like him. And if Josh Heupel likes him, I wouldn't worry too much if I'm a Vols fan, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So,
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care nothing about the weight either.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you depend on the run much, you might need a little meat on them bones. But then again, it might help your speed.
It don't hurt, but I'm just saying I don't necessarily care about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
I got you to throw the ball and make completion. Now you may have to run, but hey, that's part of the game. You can be 250 and still get hurt.
That's true, especially in this league. Do you agree or disagree that college football needs a governing body? Yeah, listen, I think it does have a governing body. I think that you need, and I think that they've tried to add another governing body with the sports commission, the college sports commission. Here's the thing that you have to have, though, if you're going to do that and really make anything stick, Scott, you're going to have to allow for collective bargaining on all these rules. The other thing that I think that people forget to talk about, and I saw Urban Meyer talking about this on his show that he does with old boy from Alabama, that they're talking about that you shouldn't get all these extra years where you can transfer without there being a penalty. He was like, I'm for one time, and then if and if an injury or something like that, whatever, something. I mean, I don't know exactly. He's basically for one time, and that includes if a coach leaves. Here's the problem with that. We're not ever talking about the fact that a lot of these coaches are telling players to get into the transfer portal. They like having the ability that, I've heard you say a number of times, that a year to year, your scholarship was year to year. You had to renew that from year to year. Those coaches like the ability to say, you know what, this guy's become more of a pain in the ass than a good player. I want to be able to send him on his way. Now, they're not going to tell you that they told that player to go get in the portal. I don't even know if it's within the rules for you to do so. But the reason that they're not going to tell you, it makes them look bad. And also the player would rather announce that they're getting into the portal because they don't want to look like they suck.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you've got to look at both sides if we're going to do it this way, right? I mean, in the end, all I'm trying to say is that there's more to it than just, governing body's cool, but in order to, if you really want rules and laws that are going to stick and be good for the game, then you have to allow the players to have some sort of say in the rules that you're putting in place. Collective bargain.
Yeah, you got to have someone, like if you do, like to your point, collective bargaining. If you're going to do this with a governing body, you have to have someone, because there's so much money involved. Now you have to have someone like an NFL PA that's on the player side to negotiate for the players. It can't just have a governing body like the NCAA come in and just make rules
that only benefit the NCAA, the colleges, the conferences, and the coaches. Because what Urban was saying on that, I mean, I saw this clip just last night, and I even commented on it. I was like, all right, coach, but what about all those folks that you guys tell to get in the portal? And
even like what Chambliss is doing, I was talking about the lawyers, like players, granted, they're making money, but they shouldn't have to go out and seek lawyers. It should be lawyers already in place to fight for their behalf, almost like being unionized. You know what I mean?
Sure. Right. And I mean, you've got player representatives from each program that are there and know the rules that are up for debate, so that they can go back to their teams and tell them, listen, this is what they're these are the rules that they want to change. These are the things that they want to do at the NCAA. What do we think about this? That way, if you've got a strong problem against it, then they can bring it up with the rest of the union reps, and they can fight for the rights of the player. And I think that that's the biggest problem, is that you don't have any representation from the players when it comes to them making any rules, any changes whatsoever. And that's why when so many of these cases are going the way of the players, is because they don't have any recourse for you just making a rule. So now you've got a judge that's got to decide whether it's fair or not, right? And I think that they don't care about fairness when it comes to the players. I understand that a lot of people think that it's not fair to the schools. I would agree with that. It doesn't have to be collective bargaining. It just has to be negotiated. Okay. So like negotiated as in how? Collective bargaining, I know that there's a difference in that in negotiating. I mean, if we're talking like, if it goes to like arbitration or something like that, that's different, on certain rules. I would agree that there's differences that you can do some different stuff. What's up there, Coach Ricks? There's some differences as far as how you do that. And I know that you could be a union and not without making them full-on employees, which is another thing, that they don't want them to be employees either. That's the other part. Go ahead, Shawty. What were you about to say?
Oh no, I'm listening. I was just thinking about the collective bargaining. I mean, it's tomato. I mean, you can, it's all, at that point to me, it's just all about verbiage. But the only reason I'm kind of not towards the collective bargaining is because I'm gonna be honest with you. I love capitalism. And I love being able to, it's not my fault that I can get more than the next person, yada, yada, yada. And I love kind of the wild west part of it, because in any other thing in life, that's how it is. So I just hate the control part that the collective bargaining brings, but I do understand why you will want it.
Yeah. Well, and Dave's here saying the stuff people want from the governing body is against labor laws. Make them employees or continue being a mess. Yeah. Okay. Look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a expert on, unions versus non-union and right to work and all that kind of stuff, because I'm not. I mean, I'm a sports guy, and I've seen some of these things that have gone around. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've dove into it to where I'm even like, I don't even have layman's knowledge of a lot of that kind of stuff. I know I've been in one union in my life, and it is what it is when it comes to that stuff. I didn't stay in that position for very long to where I was in a union. So it wasn't something that, again, it wasn't something that I was able to get all the ins and outs of how that would all work. But
and the other side to that is too, what I be trying to tell people, you have to understand, even if you think about making players employees, you have to understand there's another side to that coin. These kids are going to start to be coached a lot differently. The patience that coaches have and the things that they have, a lot of that's going to go away, because now, son, we paying you a lot of money to do a job, and if you're not doing
that's already happening though.
Right, that's kind of that's my point that I'm making. That's the other side of the coin that people are not understanding. With all this money that comes about, your kids are going to be coached and treated a different way, and that's why coaches don't have a problem or issue when asking you to possibly hit the portal. Because, son, you at this point, it's like you're an employee, you at your year's end performance review, and you didn't make the marks. You gotta go. Good luck. We appreciate everything you have done, but we have decided to go in a different direction.
Yeah, I can. Continue on, man. I'm trying to refill this. Go ahead.
Okay, no, you good. So I'm just saying, those are kind of things that go on behind the scenes that you kind of hit it on earlier, that a lot of people don't get to see and don't understand. If you make these kids employees, that's exactly what they're going to become. And at the end of the day, remember, and I know it's not this way, but you're supposed to be a student athlete. So if you're going to make them employees, why do I need to go to school? I'm here to play football. What am I going to school for?
True.
That's how I kind of see it. Like, me going to school is hindering me being able to perform at the highest of my ability. Because as an NFL player, they perform very high. They're not taking class. They're not going to school. Football is their life.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that at the end of the day, and not that I think that they enforce the school side of things anyway these days.
Well, I mean, but still, you have to be eligible now. You might be seeing and D'ing your way through, but you still have to be eligible.
Yeah, but I already think that they're getting the grades that they need to get.
Well, I tell you what, a lot of times, and it's not a lot of times, but some of the times when you hear about injuries and things like that, no, those be failed drug tests and not being eligible.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I'm gonna put the link in here and let a couple of people call in. Dave, call in. I want to hear some of your thoughts. And we're not gonna put your face on here, but I want to hear what you're talking about here with some of this stuff. So let me grab this link, put it in there. We won't put your face up. Just go into the link, and then you can come on and give me your side of it. We'll go with like 2 minutes from everybody that wants to pop in here.
If for sure, just turn the camera off also.
Yeah, you can turn your camera off, but I won't put it on anyway. So it don't really matter. You can do whatever. But yeah, the link is there. Go ahead and jump in and give us your thoughts on all this. What did you think of what did you think of today's ruling? What did you think of the Chambliss ruling, and what do you see happening moving forward in college football? Is this a sustainable model to do it the way that they're doing it now? Whatever your thoughts may be. At the end of the day, I think you're right. But I also kind of believe, obviously, student athletes, they're basically already employees. Is what Dave said. They control their working hours at profit and for its employment.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I
They
agree with that.
control their hours at a for-profit entity. Its employment is what he said.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah. I mean, I think to some extent it's certainly. I mean, look, that's what got us here to the NIL side of things to begin with. Where they just used NIL to try to be a catch-all for it all. Was that the Supreme Court justice was basically telling the NCAA that he was about to hit them from every angle on their labor laws, or on their they're being in contrast to the labor law.
I don't know if even if you make them employees, but I think they would still you would have to probably consider them more as contract employees.
Sure.
I don't think, under the definition, and I get what he said, I just don't, now we get into the nitty gritty of things, but I don't think they can.
But that's still an employee. You still have some protection as an employee, do you not?
Yes, for sure. But I'm just saying in terms of the university and how stingy they are in the ways they want to protect themselves, I can just say more on a contract type basis employee.
Right. Okay, we got a caller calling in here. Bishop Frank, welcome to the show, sir.
What's good? Big salute, Short.
What's on the menu, Bishop?
Always gumbo.
Can everybody hear Bishop? Hit me with a 1 if you can hear Bishop.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. We're going to be able to hear you, though, even if you're on or off stage. So,
okay.
Let me just make sure. Let me check the layer here. Yeah, we straight. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, I was just gonna chime in. Is a lot of people. I'm with Coach Shawty on this one. I like the current format because, understand it's all about being able to manage your team and knowing how it fits like a puzzle. And so that certain positions going to demand more money. That don't mean that is any different from another position. It's just the going rate for it. But if you start putting a cap, then all of a sudden,
I'm certainly not for salary caps. I'm not.
Right. No. But understand the whole premise of wanting someone to come in as a commissioner, i.e., Nicholas Saban, has been thought of, is to have someone to be the last decision maker. And the only way that they can have these young men come, that they got to be able to me, is they have to give prudence to being able to make the most for their money, unless they're going to go ahead and make them actual employee.
Right. Yeah, I don't, and whoever, if they end up having a commissioner or whatever and going to that, I don't know that changes a whole lot of stuff. I mean, there's arguments between the NFL and the commissioner now. You know what I mean? Right. That they can go to court for. And by the way, I don't think that Nick Saban would be the right choice for that job.
No, we're not saying that. We're just saying that's who they.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, he's got all the answers." He doesn't.
No, he don't.
The answers that Nick Saban comes up with are what would have benefited him as a coach.
Because he didn't. And we all know that's part of the reason why he left, is because of the way this money and flow.
Oh, absolutely.
So why would you want to put someone in charge who has the old adage of not really wanting to play players in the first?
I'll tell you why they want to do it, because they want it to go back to the way it was, just like he does.
Exactly. And that's where
not touch, in my opinion, at this point.
Yeah, and that's why I said Shorty is why I'm leaning toward him. Is like, what it is a lot of these people are so set in their ways, they're not willing to. Now that you have to actually do your job and manage and develop, what we're starting to see is that you can no longer keep money on the bench. Otherwise, you're misallocating. And then when it comes time each year to reallocate, you have to pay homage and make sure you have everything in ducks in a row. And that's part of making sure, like we have example, Nagy had to get on the coaches. I cannot evaluate someone that we don't have no standard or he hasn't been on the field for me to evaluate unless we come up with a new process. It's just simple, you know.
And let's keep in mind too, guys, like, as much as complaining, we are doing as a fan base,
Mm-hmm.
the product is continuing to make more money than it has ever made before, regardless of what we think. I don't know if you maybe remember me saying, Jason, I wasn't being facetious, but I knew programs that literally went out and bought $15,000 ice machines because they just didn't have nothing to do with the money. They were looking for ways to spend the money and went about a $15,000 ice machine
that they didn't need.
Yeah.
No, and you look at why did all these programs have the best facilities? Why did Clemson's got the best facilities out there? We know Dabo didn't want to pay a bunch of guys. They were paying somebody, but they have the best facilities. But why is that? Because they had to have somewhere to put the damn money.
And it's just like Cincinnati. I think he just got up to $13.2 million a year. So it's no shortage of money. Don't let anyone fool you when you're talking about Peak Forest schools. There's no shortage of money.
Yeah. See, the key is though, Shorty, if we want to be real honest, the real reason is because some of them know that they would have to hire someone to be able to manage retention. Because see, retention is the new buzzword in the NCAAs, because the one that can win at retention, the better off you are to leading toward a national championship.
And you know what, Bishop, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I agree with you to a certain extent, and I don't even necessarily know if it's about retention. Because Cincinnati just showed you can go get, if you can pay top dollar, just get a bunch of, 5th and 6th year players, that's a success to win.
Right.
Yeah, but
I would rather have,
he had a bunch of guys that were 5th and 6th year players that he brought with him from James Madison the year before that too.
Fair enough.
And he did retain them. So I think essentially what you saw with Indiana this season was just nothing more than a bunch of dudes that have played a bunch of damn football.
Yeah.
Some of them better than others as far as talent early, but they'd all played a lot of football.
Like NCAA basketball. It's like, when you have those teams, those smaller teams that make those runs through the tourney, they're generally 5th and 6th year seniors. I would rather you got a 5th and 6th year senior. That's way better than a 5-star freshman.
Oh,
I don't care what
absolutely.
you want to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree.
And probably cheaper.
No doubt. They're trying to hold on for as long as they can to maybe, catch fire and get drafted. Those players that have been around.
But you're bigger, you're stronger, your body's more developed.
But what I was driving for is just the bottom line is right now, like I have said on other networks, is if you don't develop in 2 years, those players are gone. They're out the door. And you get a third year if you redshirt them and you have a good financial plan for them. But 2 years, and after that, if you haven't developed them, you done develop for somebody else.
You're not going to get them for 2 years even. If you haven't played them by the time their second year rolls around, they're not staying there. For 5-star kids, you got to play their asses immediately.
Well, I was basically doing the average, but 5-star, that's a totally different league, because a 5-star, by the second year, he has to be in the starting rotation. But I was talking on an average. Anybody else, even a high 4-star, you still want to have that second year.
And they're not finding a place for you on the field early on. There's somebody out there that's going to tell them, we're going to play you and we're going to pay you.
Facts. I agree.
So,
I
and
agree.
that's tough I think that's tough for a lot of schools if you're trying to, but that's if you're trying to hold on to the old ways. And because that ship has sailed, folks.
Yeah.
That ship has sailed. It's not, you're not going to get it back you don't get that horse back in the barn. It ain't happening. You know? What up, Seatbelt? We were just talking about Joey Aguilar, obviously having his request denied for a 7th year or an 8th year, actually, of college football to, having his JUCO status not count towards his eligibility in the NCAA. Bishop, what were your thoughts about that? Seeing that Joey's not getting another year.
I think now that we're looked at all the facts, I know a lot of people was trying to derive from Chambliss, but it was a totally different arena that he was going off of. And when you look at all the document,
different situation completely.
Yeah, correct. And when you look at the situation, there wasn't. It's almost like they were just trying to go at it, not looking at everything or try to set up a situation that makes them win the case. Because when you look at all the facts, it wasn't no prudence for them to do so. So if you know that, then you got to come with the case. You can't just go in there and, hey, I'm a student athlete. Hey, I'm due this right to give me this grant me this eligible year. You got to prove your case on why.
Because of the money being made. And like,
Correct.
Here's the thing. I think that Joey Aguilar has a better chance of playing at the next level than what I understand it's going to be for Pavia. I mean, you're hearing scouts say he's not going to play quarterback. He's not. If he's going to play at all, he's probably going to have to go the Julian Edelman route and try to be a receiver because he's a football player.
No, Pavia ain't finna play. He going to Canada.
I don't know that he throws good enough to go to Canada either, big dog.
He ain't going to play quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to tell you that for sure.
Hey, Jason and Shawty, my understanding, he's 5'7.5".
Nah, man, come on.
Yeah.
So
I've heard him talk about being willing to play the receiver position if he had to. But I don't even know that that'll work out either. But look, I mean, we've seen guys like Julian Edelman and guys like that have worked, as a small receiver slot guy. But and he's a competitor. I'll give you that.
I don't know if he has the skill set, though. To be honest, I know
I don't think he has the skill set to play quarterback.
Skill set nor the willingness. Got to be willing.
Hello, Canada.
I saw him say it on the Bussin' with the Boys one time that he would consider it if that was his only option.
And I don't even know if you want to be open, but if you already headed there and that's what you're hearing and you saying that, then that's not a good look or a good sign already.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Then they can just hold it. They can hold to. We don't want to try you out at quarterback.
Well, that's what I get that. So that's what I get being open minded. But I'm saying this is 2026, man. If you're a quarterback, be a quarterback. Stand on it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of receivers out there that have already been playing receiver too. So it's not like you're still learning a new position and trying to do that. Yeah.
But he doesn't even meet the metrics. If he's 5'7", 5'8",
he doesn't meet the metrics to be a good receiver either. Yeah.
Like we have a guy in Zach Branch that's maybe 5'9", 5'10", but look what he can do.
Right. Yeah, his speed is off the charts. His athleticism is off the charts.
Shorter is going to be crazy. He may run a 4.4. His 20 yards shorter is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. He's a stud. Zach Brandt's a stud. No doubt about it. But yeah, listen, I didn't know they could. Hey, don't be hateful about my guy. I like old Diego, man.
He won a lot of games. He's a player.
The guy's a competitor, bro. He's a competitor.
Yeah. So J-Roll and Shorty, what you think about Heineke for OU? What's his stance? How would he need to win his case?
Well, I mean, do you know this case is what we're talking about, Shawty?
Sure.
So Owen Heineke's a linebacker who they denied his appeal for another year over him playing lacrosse at Ohio State, and he got about 15 minutes of playing time in his career there. He walked on at Oklahoma, and so he played that one good year. Listen, I think that it's looking. I think it's closer to the Chambliss case than what it is to this one.
Yeah,
to the one we're talking about with Joey Aguilar, so that he might be able to get it. Although I think it's up to him on whether or not he's going to do it or not. It doesn't sound to me like they're wanting to challenge this in court because of the fact that he's gotten such good. It sounds like Owen has gotten a lot of good feedback from going to the Senior Bowl. Gotcha. He's getting invited. He's one of the guys that got invited to the combine. Correct. It sounds like he's at worst, maybe 4th round draft pick. I think that he's going to make his money, and I think he's excited about his chances. A 4th rounder, they're not just going to cut you.
That's good money.
Yeah, that's good money.
And so, you start getting to now. There comes a point that when you're in a certain level of the draft, you've got some guarantees for time to be able to be in it. Now, there's no real guarantees in the NFL for anything other than some money, but you could comes a point in time that you could also hurt yourself moving forward because you may not improve your draft status for next year, your draft stock for next year if you come back. And in case of somebody like him, you go get injured to the point that you don't get to play much, you may not have any draft stock.
Right. I hear you.
So, I'd love to see him back for Oklahoma's sake, right? For Oklahoma's sake, I'd love to see Owen back. I don't know that Oklahoma's pushing him to fight that fight because I don't know that they think they need him.
Right. I'll just say they probably want that scholarship for somebody else at that point.
Yeah.
And if he were to come back, if he's already projected to be a 4th round pick, I mean, he'll have some good insurance. So if he were to get hurt, he'll be fine. He'll have some good insurance money coming his way too.
Sure.
Thanks. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, I think for the sake of Oklahoma, as an Oklahoma fan, I'd love to see him, right? I'd love to see him come back or whatever. And I think it's stupid that they ruled against him being able to come back over 15 minutes of playing time in a different sport. But I will say that that's the rule that they have does say it doesn't matter what sports they are. Your eligibility as a college athlete starts and ends when you enter as a college athlete. So the reason they did it or whatever, him not getting that.
Has he had a red shirt year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
check it out, Shorty. It's only 3 games of lacrosse of 15 minutes.
It's tough to say because I don't know lacrosse rules.
I don't either. But yeah, but hey, I was just, kicking the can down the street. We're good.
Yeah, Seatbelt Mafia says, I don't know if it's true, but I read they hired a lawyer and Nagy's leading the charge. We'll see. Where did you read that? Because I didn't read it. I haven't read that. Now, I hadn't been looking for it as much as I might have been. Should be 6 years to play 4 and be done with it, says Dave's here. I think that could be one of those situations where they did. Again, I would also point out to you that they went and got one of the best linebacker prospects in the portal from Michigan, as a matter of fact, and that they've got guys that coming up that they really like.
Megatron
is coming back,
and it's really 4 years to play 5. There's 6 years due to insinuating circumstances, which would be
injuries, etc. Correct.
Right.
Yeah, and this is kind of how I feel, Jimmy. I don't really have. I have a strong feeling against. I don't understand why it works for some people and doesn't work for others. And he did make the appeal to try to come back. So I'm with you. I'd love to see him get to come back. But in view of the fact that he is getting these, there's a lot of people at the NFL level that like him and are giving him good grades and the opportunity to go and start his career now. I don't really have a problem with him moving on, because I think that you have to be very careful if you're a walk-on, that and all of a sudden you get draft grades that say you should go to the draft and you're a third or fourth rounder. I think you need to be careful with that, because if you were to get injured and whatever, then they're going to remember that he was a walk-on. Maybe he's not that good. It's the last thing that they saw from you. The last thing that they saw from him right now is he played damn good.
Yeah.
Now, I see somebody in the comments talking about, made a statement about him. He got denied a medical redshirt year. Now, how much of that year did he play? Because depending on how much he played, that's why the medical could have been denied.
Yeah, so he had an injury year that they denied him a medical redshirt, but did he lose the season to that year with Dilligaff? I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you that I don't know a ton about this. I know that
I don't either.
There's a lot of information out there. I know that the conversation that they're having is that it's about him playing 15 minutes worth of time as a lacrosse player, right? As far what's up there, G Bama? But I'm not positive that, that did he lose the entire season to an injury? Because it has to have happened. You can't have played more than 30%. I mean, I have it written down. It was in that column that I wrote about Chambliss that in order to get an injury a red shirt, you have to, the injury or whatever it was, whatever illness or whatever had to have happened in the first half of the year. It has to. You couldn't have played more than 30% of the year on top of that, and it had to end your year. So if he got hurt and he ended up playing at the end of the year, then you don't get it back.
Okay, gotcha.
They say you muted, Jason.
Really?
Yeah, that's my point. Like, I would use an ACL as an example. Like, if you get your ACL in the second or third game, then you probably would qualify for a medical for that year. But if you tear your ACL in the fifth or sixth game, even though it's a year-ending season, you're probably not going to qualify for a medical.
Right.
Because you've played too much prior to the injury.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just think that in this day and age, I think a lot of the policies and procedures might need to be re-engineered, because a lot of them might be outdated.
I think the COVID year has probably thrown a lot of things off because people got a free year. But I mean, at this point, I think all the COVID players, I think last year, either this year's the last year of the COVID.
Yeah, correct.
I think it'll balance itself back out.
Okay.
And also people have to understand that, you can possibly receive more than one medical year.
That's true.
And I think that maybe throws some things off for some people as well. And Jason, you should be good. They're saying you are not muted now. You should be good.
Say something.
He has kind of stepped off. One thing I will say too, not to jump subjects too far, but did you see where the kid from Florida received a settlement in his case? That originally
Rashada.
Yeah, Rashada. Yeah. So obviously he had some teeth in his case because they settled out when they offered. I think he was suing for $13.5 million.
Yeah.
I didn't see the settlement amount, but obviously he had some teeth to his case, and where he was arguing about what they offered him in NIL and reneged on it. So they settled out.
Yeah, because the documentation, the show beat conversation.
There you go.
Whether it's on a NACM, if it's written down, it becomes a document.
Toilet paper, napkin, whatever.
Whatever.
And when you're dealing with that kind of money, generally the settling is not what they do when you have those kind of lawyers and you can afford those kind of lawyers. So he really had a strong case.
Yeah. And I you know what, Shorty, I really think that what happened is that Florida got over their skis. It wasn't, they offered it, but they almost offered it as if they like, to call his bluff type deal. But then when it came time to get it together, all of a sudden they
Well, and also with them offering that money, also inhibited him to go to other schools.
schools. Yep.
He chose that because of the offer that was made to him. He had having offers was not a shortage for him. He could have went almost anywhere he wanted.
Oh, absolutely.
He chose the University of Florida because of the offer that was
That
made.
was made. Yeah,
Right.
which would inhibit him from being able. You offered that money, and that was part of his decision making. On top of that, you had it written down. I don't understand why they didn't hold true to it, but hey, they're going to end up having to pay anyway.
Yeah,
So,
some of it, I would imagine,
yeah.
If it was a $13.5 million, I'd say it was probably no less than $4 million, $5 million.
Yeah.
Because if not, then let's just go and take it to trial. We ready for it anyway.
For sure. For sure.
Jason, where you at?
Jason.
I don't know how you want to move this thing along. You don't want me to
Yeah,
take
because
over.
we ain't trying to take it over. I just wanted to jump in there for a little bit.
It'll turn in just my damn opinion. You let me run.
Yeah. Well, then run it then until we get back. What's on your mind? Shorts?
No, like I said, I just chimed in with Jason, man. I was kind of coming from work and I just tried to get in as soon as possible. So, I was just kind of floating with him. I didn't really
Gotcha.
have an agenda. I just kind of joined him for the night. I don't even know where he was really, his issue, not issue, but I don't even know what his format was for tonight.
Yeah, I know he was going to talk about. You already talked about Joey Aguilar deal, and then he was going to talk about Rashada, which we can wait on him.
Okay. See, I didn't even know that. I apologize for jumping the gun.
No. You're good. But are you guys Georgia having a spring game?
For sure. That's one of the things that Kirby, well, as far as I know, said that he was not going to do. And before I comment anymore on that, I'm going to say shout out to everybody in the comments, man. We appreciate y'all chiming in and giving us your opinion. Shout out to Coach Ricks, man. What's going on, Coach Ricks?
Coach Ricks?
Seatbelt Mafia. What's going on with Seatbelt Mafia?
That's my fam. That's my fam.
Okay, I hadn't seen him before. Shout out to Mr. What is it? Dilly GF? Mr. Dilly GF? Yeah. Shout out to him. So shout out to everybody in the comments, man. Appreciate y'all tapping in with all
Jason's back. Jason, they said they can hear you.
All right. Yeah. You can hear me now? Everybody can hear me now?
Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear him.
Yeah, it should be good. Should be good now. All right. So I think we've kind of went through a lot of this stuff kind of ad nauseum. And the reason I was bringing on, well, here's old Coach Ricks. We'll get him in to get his feelings on it as well real quick. And then we're going to do about 5 more minutes of this, and then we're going to go to we're going to talk about, we're going to let Shawty give us a rundown on the Georgia Bulldogs for this year as well. So that'd be the next thing we're going to do. So, all right, welcome into the show, Coach Ricks. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, big dog?
What up, man? Good to see you. Good to hear you.
What's up, Shawty?
What's happening, Coach?
Not much, man. Just trying to listen to you guys speak some facts about everything that's going on.
We do our best.
What are your thoughts on this Joey Aguilar deal and the Chambliss thing before it?
Man, I was on the ride home with the wife and everything from dinner, and Shawty, man, you had a good idea, man. There has to be something in place for the players, someone that they can go to, man, to have all the facts, to have all the guidelines to what you can do and what you can't do. I think it's very unfair that you got guys that have 8 and 9 years of eligibility still coming back. How can you justify giving those guys 8 in the 9th year, but then someone that really has a legitimate reason to come back, you don't even give them the common courtesy to say, you know what, let's go through the protocol and see if we can get you back. No, they're just saying no. I think that for the Ole Miss quarterback, man, I think that was a given. You can't sit there and say somebody wasn't hurt. You just can't say that, and to have no legitimate documentation to back that up. You're just going to come out and say you were not hurt. You're not a damn licensed doctor to say that. That was asinine from the get go. Now,
they didn't even provide a doctor that said that he was.
Yeah.
They could argue that he wasn't hurt to the point he shouldn't have been able to play.
I read some of the documents and everything, man, and I'm like, how in the hell you come into a courtroom and not have your own licensed doctor to come to back up what you're going to say? You're just going to come in there and just start throwing bombs and not have any backup. So I think it's very sad for the NCAA, man, to do that. It just made their case so much bad, just to come in there and not have documentation and everything, man, to back up what they were saying. Now, for Tennessee, I think, man, that was a Hail Mary. I think what you said, Shorty, was very true. He wasn't prepared to go in there and fight for that eligibility. I think he was just going there and throwing a Hail Mary, hoping that he would get it. And you got to have your I's dotted, T's crossed when you come into contact with the NCAA, because they have the ammunition to say yes or no. But if you have your things, I think you have your I's dotted, T's crossed, and you come in there and you know exactly what you want and you present it in a way, they have to give it to you. So,
or at least explain why you couldn't.
Yes, at least explain why. So, but I put in
an argument of some kind that has some validity to it, other than just saying, that I mean, because they literally were talking about 2023 and 2024, him playing with the same affliction, but under medication, and acting like that mattered towards 2022, which was the year that he was arguing for.
Yeah. We live in an era right now, man, to where mental health and all these things, man, are so vital that you got to be very careful how you even talk about it and word it, because the wrong thing you say can be a lawsuit out your ass. So I think the biggest thing, man, for me, Jason, on this, man, is I'm waiting to see what Owen gets. I'm really waiting on that.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not. I don't know, from what I'm seeing, and I know Seabelt is in there saying that apparently they may be going to fight it. They've hired an attorney. I'm not sure that they have. Everything that I haven't seen anything that tells me that they're fighting, and only because of the fact that I think that he's going. It sounds like he's going to get drafted at a decent and have his chance to go ahead and play. I mean, look, I think for the case of Oklahoma and having more bodies out there that can get the job done, I think that's great. But it also feels like to me that they maybe I'm wrong about this, but it doesn't sound like Oklahoma is like overly keen about having him come back.
Yeah. It could be stifling their development at the position. They may have some younger guys that they really feel like they're ready to move along at this point.
Correct.
And I could agree with that. I think that the NBA has that CBA. I think college needs to get, and I'm just going to throw something out there. FBA, Football Association, the Football Player Association. Some former players or seniors or 6-year seniors or super seniors form a union, or not. I don't want to say union. Form an association to where you have the power to go in there and represent all thousands of the players in college football.
So what they need to do, Coach? I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I know where you're going, but what they need to do, like all the monies that this NIL is providing to these players,
form an association or something.
A part or percentage of that needs to come out for them to be able to have lawyers that can fight for them on any occasion when it comes to these contracts. Like it just need to be an NFL player association like that, but it'd be for college.
Well,
and they have the monies to afford it.
When we have now, it's a curse and a good thing. I'm part of a union, Teamsters and everything, which is one of the biggest unions in the United States. We pay union dues weekly, and if I have a disagreement with something and I file a grievance, they are there to back me up and everything, and come in there to find out what the problem is. How can we? There's always this mediator in between me and the job of me and whoever, and we get the problem solved. There has to be something in place for where these players will know how to go to and who to go to say, hey, this is this. Hiring a lawyer who might not know the bylaws and might not know the damn what's going on to represent you to go before the NCAA to try to get you an extra year is kind of sad, because he or she don't have the knowledge of what to go in there and how to present it.
Sure.
And coach, to take it a step further, I'm just being very analytical. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is the court part that's coming out of me. It shouldn't be a body that a student can go to. It should be a body that automatically takes over for the student if there's any wrongdoing being done.
Yes.
Like
case by case instance.
Right. We think they're trying to say, like, they're trying not to make you be eligible. Don't worry about it. We're going to go to bat for you. We're going to take over this case. This is, that's how it should be.
And that's what your union dues are paying for, or whatever.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because you're right. These guys are making money now, so they need to ante up a little bit of their percentage.
Too, right, Coach Ricks, is like, how much of this shit is just about attorneys wanting to battle the NCAA because of their billable hours?
Shawty, you hit it on the head earlier.
Yep.
Can you imagine a lawyer going in there and beating the NCAA? He ain't got to get no business no more. They're going to come knocking down his damn door because of what you did and how you presented that player. Like so you're going to be pretty much, I hate to say it, you're going to be pretty much the Johnny Cochran of the damn NCAA because of what you did for X person or Y person.
Free publicity. You did it for the biggest argument, the biggest player when you're talking about quarterback position, for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody's seeing this case. Everybody's watching it. And you just won.
Yeah. So it's very unfortunate, man, how this is playing out in front of our eyes when it comes to the NCAA, because they're pretty much just picking and choosing who they want to stay and who they want to go. If you really look at it, there's no scientific reason a person can get a 9th year. I don't give a damn what happened. COVID, double
they
COVID.
Had two. That's the thing, is that at least the Montana State, when I read through that, and I can tell you that one was a COVID year. You had a red shirt. You had 2 medical red shirts, and then now and so they're giving them that. So I don't know. Aside from it doesn't make a lot of sense as to why you can do that, because you're not supposed to be able to have multiple medical red shirts according to their bylaws.
You're not supposed to.
It should be like high school. I used to joke about this, but you can't have grown men out there playing with these 4 kids. Just like high school. High school, you can't have nobody over 20 years old in high school. You just can't. Right? Yeah. And it should be the same way in college. You can't have these grown men out here playing these 4 kids. Because really, if you're talking about safety, it really ain't.
There is another side of that, and I agree with that part. I think that there's got to be a time when it's too much. Now, Trinidad is 23. We're not talking about 24, 25, 26. He's 23. This is be a 6th year, which, again, to me, it felt like it should have been a rubber stamp thing. Now you can sit here and pick apart all you want to the Mississippi courts and all that other stuff and the way that they did it on the home field and all that. You can do that. In the end, he wasn't arguing for anything other than for them to go by the rules that they have in place.
Correct.
Which is why I would side with Trinidad Chambliss over every. And on top of that, the fact that the NCAA didn't present any evidence that made me believe that he shouldn't get a medical red shirt year. Mm-hmm. Right? But we're not talking about a 7th, 8th, 9th year like we are with in the case of Pavia last year. He got a 7th year. And this kid was and Joey Aguilar, he was about to get year number 8.
But Jason, that goes to our point. That's what people don't understand. It's a case-by-case basis. Every case is different. It has little minutiae and things that are just different. It makes your case totally different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole deal with it. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think that all these things are going to continue to be fought over and everything else. And one of the things that I wanted to add to that, because when you came in, and what you were saying, Coach Ricks, when you came in, I can agree with a lot of that because of the fact that I literally heard Urban Meyer on his show talking with Mark Ingram. I mean, and it was a short that they clipped out of it where he was saying that you should have to sit out a year if you transfer after one free transfer, no matter what. So he's saying you should have to sit out a year if you transfer a second time. You get one freebie and otherwise. Well, that's all well and good, Urban. That's all well and good, Urban. But what about if a coach leaves again? He didn't care. Okay, well, what about the times that the coaches are telling these kids to go get in the portal because they don't want them on the team anymore? You know, they don't. Nobody wants to talk about that part. Nobody wants to talk about that part, and that's a fact.
I don't even think you should be able to transfer in conference without sitting out. That's just me personally.
Can I tell you something that we do at the high school level in the East Coast? When you transfer from a different conference, and the coach asks, let's say the coach leaves or whatever, the paperwork that goes with him, there's an asterisk on it. And what it says is for purpose only or something. That indicates that somebody left, you were asked to leave, or a change of coach. So it ain't that the player was just leaving, jumping and trying to find the best, because there's
which
NIL.
We know does happen quite a bit, Coach.
Yes.
Don't get it twisted. We know that shit happens.
Yes. There are kids right now, man, here on the East Coast, man. Kids going to Auburn. That was at
it's happening in Oklahoma City too, bro. It's happening where you from.
He gets $1 million because he's the best field goal kicker here on the East Coast. Oof. And he's trying to jump around just so he can go. Well, he has 3 asterisks on his to where now he can't go nowhere. He's blocked.
Yeah.
If you transfer again, you cannot play for the rest of the season.
Let me ask you this, Coach and Jason, and this I think I heard this, but I'm not sure. This is what I'm insinuating. So are you saying that now we're all agreeing that if you transfer 1 year, that's fine, but anything after that, you should have to sit out, correct? We kind of on the same page.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't.
Okay.
Let's say now.
Okay, but my question is, if a coach leaves, is that insinuating circumstances where I should be able to transfer if I want because the coach who I came for left, that don't count against
absolutely, but that's not what Urban was saying. Okay. That's not what Urban was saying either. And I also think that it's insinuating circumstances that he may have transferred the first time because his coach told him to.
We got to start putting some damn penalties on these coaches. When you leave a program and you try to go and pluck and pleak and do all this and everything, you should be blocked to where you can't do that.
That's what I mean about the capitalism part. So coaches get to do it, but at the same time,
the players can't.
That's what I'm saying.
You got to penalize the
being
coaches.
able to do that. Look, I'm my own thing is that I think that it's easy to sit here and blame players. It's real easy to sit here and blame a player. And I'm not saying that there's no time that the players are in the wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that if a coach can up and leave whenever the hell they want,
yes,
then why can't a player? And I'm going to tell you that if we're talking about one time free and then you got to pay with a year, well, they don't do that to coaches either. And we are not taking into consideration the fact that I think 75% of the time or more, coaches are telling those players to get in the portal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because their jobs are on the line. If they don't think you're good enough anymore to play on their team, their jobs are on the line if they ain't winning.
Jason, one thing you got to be careful about when you're doing that as a coach, because there's a guy on the East Coast, and it might be out there right now to where he got fired because he had 9 of his players jump in the portal before he took a job somewhere else. Then when he took that job, those 9 players that he told to go get in the portal, he went and got.
And it needs to be the same, just like for coaches in terms of, if you're gonna have a player enter the portal or leave my school to transfer to you because I offer him or she more money in NIL, then they need to be able to buy out the current contract or situation that we currently have this player under, and that would make things equitable.
That should be given. Every dime that I gave you before you leave, you have to pay it back before you leave.
Well, at least what's left on the table,
What's
because
left? Now, because
whatever
what
I
you
gain,
earn,
if services have been rendered, you
yes.
can't take
But
money off the service.
if you're on a 6-year deal for 30-something million and you've only been there 4, those last 2, I want back.
Facts.
Right.
Those last
They
2, I
shouldn't
want
be
back.
treated different. I'm saying, Dave's here saying, how can you think that players should be treated different than the coaches? I don't think that. I don't think anybody here thinks that.
Nope.
We can
say they're all grown ass men. You got to hold them accountable.
Right.
You got to hold them accountable. We're all grown. They're getting paid now. So
I mean, Bevo's bodyguard, of course, he comes in and says something dumb. How are you going to penalize coaches in a capitalist society? How are you going to penalize players in a capitalist society? Same thing.
That's the exact point we tried to make.
That's exactly
it. He comes in and says something stupid. That's what he does.
But see, that's why they need to move forward. It's a new dispensation, and if it's a new dispensation, then they got to judge accordingly.
Hey, Jason, that last comment, if they had a contract, they ain't getting out of it. Why would you want a coach that wants to leave and you're not letting him leave? That is cancer. That is something that you do not want, is a coach that don't want to be there and you're forcing him to be there.
He obviously ain't heard Birdman. Any contract can be recontracted. Contracts don't mean nothing. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't be leaving.
What about
wiggle
Kiffin?
out those contracts to get bought out or whatever it should be. Contracts are always being recontracted, even after you don't sign the dotted line.
There's always that little small print at the very back of the page somewhere that can get you out of a contract. A very good lawyer can find that.
It's called a buyout.
But why would you want a coach there that don't want to be there? He's not going to give maximum effort for your program when he don't want to be there. That's going to be a toxic situation. So he's going to do bare minimum to where he's hoping that you fire him.
And let's use Lane Kiffin. His team was about to go into the playoffs when he made his decision. And still wanted to find a way to coach his team and finish the process. But of course, that didn't make too much sense.
Right.
I mean,
it's no different than an employee who it's no different than an employee who wants to put in a two weeks notice. You know what that employee has the right to do? I appreciate you putting in your 2 weeks notice, but I think
I'm gonna let you go right now.
There you go.
I've seen it happen so many times.
Because
I don't want you nowhere, because I don't know, and let's just keep it real. I don't know what you're gonna do. You might sabotage the place. You might steal some things. You might do whatever and destroy and damage things.
With LSU comes to mind in this deal. Why they didn't let him coach in the playoff?
That's what I was saying.
We appreciate your 2 weeks notice, Lane, but we're gonna let you go right now.
And it's very cancerous if you're a coach, because you don't know who he might be trying to entice to go with him behind closed doors. So when you think he's just leaving, when he leaves, he takes everybody with him.
Wait a minute, documentation be conversation.
You got to be very careful, man. Like I said, these conversations that we're having, man, it's a very serious one. But at the same point in time, man, it has to be handled sooner or later, because it's getting kind of out of hand.
It is. There's definitely, but the only point I think that I'm ever trying to make in any of these conversations that we have, and we have them all the time here, right? We talk about these. We don't shy away from any conversation when it comes to college sports ever here.
No.
And Shawty and I have been having these conversations a lot, right? For years now. But I would just tell you that my only thing is exactly what you're hearing from Dave over there, and which is it should be the same. You can't say that coaches can do this and players can't, and you can't say that players can do this and coaches can't. And you know what? That includes if you've got a contract, and if they wanted a contract, they'd have contracts. Again, I'm going to tell you that I believe that coaches like it the way that it is, because they can put you in the portal, tell you to go get in the portal, and then replace you with somebody they think is better every year. They like having that flexibility of 1 year at a time, 1 year at a time, 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
That they can get rid of problems quickly.
Can I respond to Dave Shear 9723? And
Yeah.
hopefully I'm responding to him on the right page. This is what I think he's talking about. So when you're talking about players and why do you want players to stay when they don't want to be there? When you're talking about players, that's a little bit different, especially when you're talking about from a coaching standpoint, because you have to understand sometimes you can do addition by subtraction. I may not want that 4 or 5 star player necessarily. He may not fit into what I'm trying to do, but I'd rather have him on my roster than him on your roster kicking my ass.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Which
I
is
will
also
pay you to
something
set
you gotta
your
watch
ass
out
on the
for.
bench.
Why did Saban made sure that the SEC's rules were you weren't transferring off of his team into another SEC program?
Right. You should see it.
Right.
You should see it. If it's in conference, you should see it.
But Shorty, that's been going on for a long time. Coaches would rather you sit on the bench.
Yeah.
than
That's
go
the point
somewhere
I
else.
was trying to make to him. Is like that's why they do it. It's addition by subtraction sometimes, you know?
And
Definitely.
and when he said if he don't sign the contract, there is no contract. But if you are reaping all the benefits on that contract and you're doing everything, you are by the letter of the law abiding by that contract, even if you don't sign it.
I don't think that there's a lot of contracts that are being signed. I think that they're talking about contracts and they're putting them out there and they're in place. But again, don't make it look, if it was just a mistake, those mistakes happen one time.
Not
right.
repetitively.
No, and particularly something as simple as not signing the contract, you know, you wouldn't see that happen a bunch of times. It happened once, and then everybody learns from that shit because a player like Hollywood Smothers doesn't sign his contract. They don't make him sign his contract at Alabama, maybe because they were looking at another guy too.
Hollywood Smothers? That's a hell of a name.
Yeah.
The running back from NC State that came from Oklahoma before that.
Came from yeah.
He didn't sign the contract at Bama, and a week later he ends up at Texas.
I thought he was at Alabama.
Apparently, that's the same thing that we're talking about with that linebacker that left from Clemson to Ole Miss. He hadn't signed a contract yet either.
Correct.
Now, when it comes to Darian Mensah, he did have a contract, and they were enforcing it from last year. The contract that they signed with him last year at Duke. That's why they were fighting that. And yes, Miami had to pay. But let me just say, there's probably a reason why some of these contracts don't get signed, and it's because they both want the ability to be able to wiggle out if they feel like it.
That's the end result.
Well, coaches have a way out. It's called you buy them out. You buy out the contract.
Right.
And sometimes, and some of these schools are getting very smart. They're putting that up in 6 figures. Excuse me, 10 figures. 10 figures sometimes. Because some of them, like, you're going to have to pay about $80 million, probably some more than that, to get up out of here. But why would you want a coach and everything that is toxic in your program that doesn't want to be there? Sooner or later, the dam's going to break. Either you're going to have to let him go, or the program's going to be so much in a rut that they're going to fire you and fire him.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of times it's things that about, we use the term optics. You hope when you're paying a guy that type of money, at the end of the day, he or she is going to be professional in his or her duties. So, a lot of times it's just about optics, because I may need to keep you an extra year or two just to be able to afford your buyout.
True.
Facts.
And while you're there, I just expect for you to be a professional and do your job to the best of your ability, because if you don't, it might need to be a smear campaign started, and that's not what you want on the way out either.
And we even seen some of that at Florida.
No, it was going to happen. It was going to happen at Oklahoma State until they lost to Tulsa, and then they just said, "Damn that, we're just going to fire you right now."
Yeah,
it was coming. So, man, look,
way overdue.
Tough subject. A lot of people got some good information, some good things, man. But at the end of the day, they are the same. Players and coaches are the same.
Yeah, they have to be. I mean, you have to have the same rules for everybody in place, or at least something similar. Now, it's going to be different because of coaches, one entity versus the team. There's going to be some differences.
Yeah.
In the end, And a coach is a full-on employee, by the way, as well. If you're not going to make these players employees, then you don't get to hold them to a different standard either, though. You know,
and the issue that's go ahead. All right.
You can't hold them to the same standard as a coach if you're not going to make them an employee like your coach is.
True.
And also the issue that's arising, and it's going to be more prevalent as time goes on. You're going to have situations where some of these players is making more money than the coach. Carson Beck got close to $11 million last year.
Is that true? $11 million?
Yes. He was brought in.
$5 million.
Yes, sir.
He was brought in at 4. He was brought in at 4 base. But everything that happened in his accelerators took him to 10 to 11
making
million.
The playoffs, every playoff game he won, he got an increase.
And I'm sure their coach maybe had a base salary that year, maybe just talking about base, maybe 10 to 12, maybe. Your quarterback, you got places like the NFL almost. You're almost going to have some, and as time goes on, this, as we know, the salaries and player salaries will continue to increase.
And see, that's why it's so important to start understanding these accelerators, how they get around and fit all these pieces when you're trying to do this retention and different things. Is they know that they have a base, but the accelerators allow you to show that the young man, hey, you can earn this as long as you stay the course and do these things.
Ole Miss had to pay Lane Kiffin an extra $250,000 for the playoffs, and he wasn't even coaching the team.
No, LSU did it.
They paid it for him, but I know he had a $250,000 for
he was recruiting for LSU, so they footed the bill.
Okay. LSU gave him $25 million just for the portal, extra.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we're talking business now. It's simple as that.
Yeah. That's the point. It's easy to sit and blame a player. This is why we generally side with players on this stuff, because you can't sit here and just poke and pick at everything that they do and then not look at what you're seeing from the other side of it. Like I said, when I heard Urban Meyer saying that you should get one freebie and then not be able to move around freely anymore, I said, okay, and I understand you're feeling that way, but look, Urban, are you going to address how many times coaches are telling them to go get in the portal?
Facts.
And if you're being told to go get in the portal, why does that count against your, quote, one freebie?
I see what you're saying. I got you.
You know why he said that shit? You know why he said that shit? He ain't coaching no more.
No shit.
If he was coaching, it'd be a whole damn different story. Whole different story if you was coaching.
Well,
because you would want those players. You would want those players that you could get to have more than one or two. You're gonna squeeze that orange and to get all the juice out of it. Trust me, you're gonna squeeze that ass up.
And to Urban's point, now I'm just kind of trying to, because what you said, I see I didn't get where you was coming from until I just heard it then. But at the same time, I think the issue arises is, which we as fans generally don't know, is when the player, he or she themselves are hitting the portal as opposed to being asked to leave. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's where to me it gets very grayish in terms of having to be able to leave the portal more. I mean, use the portal more than one time. Now, if I myself choose to leave, I should maybe only get one. Now, if I'm asked to be in leave, maybe that should be exempt. Because
that's services the thing, though, is that we don't know. I mean, these things get said, and they're pointing this towards players because most people don't realize that more times than not, these players are being told to leave. They don't know that. Because nobody tells you that. The schools aren't stepping up and saying we told them to get in the portal because we wanted to go in another direction.
That's bad PR.
Bad PR for the teams, yes. Right? Bad PR for the coaching staff. So they're not going to do that. The players don't want them doing that either, because then it looks like they suck if they don't say that I'm getting in the portal for my own reasons.
It's the worst of two evils.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we trying to, now when you do that, it's almost like, the like discovery. Now, if you do this, we're gonna have to pull the curtain back. Like everything has to be known.
Of
And
course.
they,
Of
you know,
course.
You know when you'll know a petty program will get upset when a player wants to leave, and they'll try to bash that player, saying that that's when you find out a player left, because a petty program will try to go on social media and belittle that young man or that woman, saying that this is why they left.
They'll pull a Duke and like try to fucking put them in court because they didn't want them to leave. We got a contract with your ass.
Is there any such thing as like how it used to be? Like we just don't release you. Is that still around?
Duke just did it.
They told him he ain't going nowhere, and they stood on business.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So generally, if you're granted a release, it's almost a situation at the same time we say if we grant you release, it's technically like, okay, we want you to go into the portal. But if we don't grant the release, then we're trying to not let you go into the portal. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is like these kids that who we don't know getting pushed into the portal, we then would know they were being pushed in the portal because they were granted a release.
Yeah.
Yeah, G Bama boy, that's not scholarships aren't renewed each year anymore. That's not the case anymore. It used to be that way, and they like it like that. That's the point we're making, is that coaches enjoyed having that ability to renew you or not renew you because then they can replace you instead, especially with the portal.
Or lower the money.
Yeah. Or mess with your cash or whatever the case may be. So that's not the scholarship now. I think that they've had to make it in order for it to be good for the court whenever they did the loss or the whole deal for the for rev share. They wanted to make sure that's why she made them keep the 105 scholarships, that you can't go down to 85. You have to keep them the 105. And I think they didn't even want there to be any. I don't think that judge wanted them to have a limit at all on scholarships, and they had to be held to that scholarship. If you decide to get rid of somebody, then you have to still give them that ability to finish school, or for injury's sake or whatever the case may be. Don't think for a second that those colleges are willing to just give away their product for no reason. No reason, because they're not.
I think when they do that, it doesn't. I think when you allow a kid to stay in school, I don't think it counts against your scholarship. I think it may be used to, but I don't think it counts against your total scholarship number anymore.
But what you said early, Shorty, was I've always preached that. It was supposed to always be student athlete. That student is gone now. That's gone. It ain't no such thing as student no more. It's just
I'm gonna tell you this part right here. And Dave's
we know. Go ahead, my bad.
This deal right here that Dave's talking about, and this is absolutely true. The NCAA said they don't have rules that prevented the kid from leaving Wisconsin and going to Miami, even though that they had they had an NIL deal with him and they were trying to hold him there. He said, "To hell with you," disenrolled, and ended up at Miami and played this year, right? I don't understand the portal at all after that. I agree with you. And I'm going to tell you now, there's no longer a spring transfer portal. What do you want to bet that becomes an issue after spring football?
Of course.
Somebody tries to leave.
But that's what Nico's brother did when he went to Arkansas. Arkansas gave him the money just to come there. To come there. He went there, collected the money. Then guess what? I ain't signed anything. I'm going out here to UCLA.
You literally had scouts and other coaches sitting at other teams' spring games.
Yes. With notebooks, watching. They
didn't even have to sit there. They could watch them on television. 30 on that. Put them all on TV.
Oh, check this out, y'all. And then Coach Prime is doing his own. He got one for anybody that want to get in the portal. Let's have a game.
I mean, yeah, watch how many players just walk out in May and enroll in a new school in July. Look, they thought that the way to fix that is to not tell a quarterback, a couple of quarterbacks who won the quarterback battle in spring.
Facts.
But you know who's winning and who ain't. If you're having a quarterback competition, you know who's in the lead. They ain't that good at that. Their poker face ain't gonna be that good.
Yeah, again, that's just about the optics. We already know.
Yeah.
We know the truth.
Quarterback competition sound good.
I'd be curious to know if the kid that left Wisconsin Miami was able to keep the Wisconsin NIL. I don't think he had gotten it just yet. But if you gave it to him, I'll tell you this much: Caden Proctor got to keep his money when he went back to Alabama. He was there for the spring and left. He got $100,000 just to leave Alabama and go there. He basically went to the spring, got his cash in some warm up clothes and split.
You know how you can fix that or try to fix that? Don't stop giving everybody all the money up front. Give them in installments to where you pretty much got to stay to get all your money. I'm not going to give it to you all up front. Now, it's there in theory. You'll get it when you stay here, but I'm not going to give you all of it at once. If you got $5 million, I'm giving you $60,000, $70,000 every month until you get up to it. That way, if you leave, I don't have to pay you the rest.
So I can only speak on where I know. I can't speak on how other universities are doing things, but I think I maybe mentioned this on a prior show. So what people have to understand too, so to the point you just made, it ain't even necessarily about giving the money up front. If I sign you to a $300,000 NIL deal, and I give you $100 up front, people still have to understand that I have put processes and procedures in place in order for you to earn this $300,000 in totality. So if you decide to leave, I am now stuck with the bill and the money that I put in the procedures and policies for you to get this money. So it's almost like signing a 30 city concert tour. We already booked. We don't book the venues, meaning money had to be put up for these venues, security and everything. And you stopped on the third show. Now me as the promoter, I done lost all the money, first of all, that I've given you, which, okay, that's for the services rendered. But I've lost all the money for the future venue dates. I should be able to sue and get that money back.
Right.
I shouldn't just be stuck with that money. And then that's what we are doing with a player that we're trying to get about $300,000 back from. Does that make sense?
Of course. If you have a contract with
Of
them,
course.
you can do
Absolutely.
those kind of things.
I just didn't know if that made sense or not.
This is where the contracts come in play, and that's what Dave's talking about here. Is like it's crazy if you're not having attorneys draw something up and make sure that it's legal, because we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Facts.
And that money don't just fall off tree. We have to secure
It sure don't.
We have to find ways to secure that money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has to be there. It has to be there in case those guidelines and those standards are met.
And that's what happened. And I think Bishop said this earlier. We was going to talk about it, but that's what kind of, in my opinion, happened with the Rashada case. They claimed that they had all this money, but when it came time to it, they was not able to secure that amount of money for this kid. And the kid was like, no, this is what you said. This is what I was supposed to get. It ain't my fault you couldn't come up with the money.
He, by the way, settled his lawsuit against Billy Napier this week for an undisclosed amount. I don't know if he still got something going against Florida, but he should.
Oh yeah,
well, he obviously had some teeth because they settled.
Yeah, clearly.
Oh, he settled.
Well, yeah, and Billy messed up getting involved in that.
Well,
he should have left that to the people outside of that.
It depends if he settled with the program or if he settled with Napier. It depends. Because if you settle with one, you still can go out to the other one.
That's what I'm saying. He obviously had some teeth, because if there's a settlement, it was some teeth to his case.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about.
Next case.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine that you wouldn't have some kind of a contract, though. I mean, like buying a car or a house. No shit. You know what I mean? I mean, you wouldn't buy a car if you didn't have a contract that said it was yours. If it was $1,000, you wouldn't do it. If it was $500, you wouldn't do it. But you're gonna agree. You're gonna make an agreement with somebody just on word of mouth. Come on, bro. Come
Them
on,
days
man.
are done. Them handshake deals and that shit done.
There's too much money involved.
Yeah, you gotta
And people are more educated.
Yeah,
ink.
and that's what I was speaking about. Is it's time that they need to transition and just be ready to evolve.
I don't see it up on this story you're talking about. I do not see that up there on 3, bro. What are you talking about?
About the
Send me the link to this story on 3. Send it to JW at HOF Media. Because I'm not seeing it there. Hell, I don't even see it on trending on Twitter.
Oh, what he was talking about the
Send me the link. Send me the link.
JW, what was he talking about?
He said that there's a report of Indiana had an ineligible player and played him anyway, and they're threatening to vacate wins.
I ain't heard anything about that. That would have been a major issue.
That would have to be
allegedly. It would be on the front page of right now.
and to be honest, just in my opinion, that don't matter. They won. If they won it, they won it, man. One player ain't gonna make no difference. Like they won it.
I mean,
you can't go back and undo.
We watched them win. We watched them win it, but
yeah, they won it fair and square.
What the hell is ineligible at this point? What is ineligible?
Please don't be talking about no grades.
But still,
what does ineligible even mean? What does that even mean?
But still, Jason, everything still got to line up just right in order for you to go undefeated and win everything and beat all the teams you were supposed to. Everything lined up for them.
You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that Michigan wasn't either there, Center Cowboys.
There's a story on it.
Where?
NCAA threatens rule of restitution against Indiana for is it Lewis Moore case? His name Lewis Moore. He used to be
I still have yet to see it. I'm on 3. I'm on 3, and it's not up here.
This is through Indiana Daily. Is this a campus?
Oh, you can't go by those. He's trying to get
publicity. If there's something against them, but I don't see anything here.
Just said sometimes it's their smoke, their fire, you know.
There you go.
I know this much.
Yeah, it's I
don't know what eligibility is. Lewis Moore, apparently that is him according to Trojan Fight. I'm not seeing it though.
And it's saying that the NCAA has threatened to invoke the rule of restitution. Not saying that they are, but they have threatened to invoke the rule of restitution for that player. According to response, they filed.
This is an Indiana Daily student. It's an ongoing case.
They filed in the 5th Court of Appeals.
Well, the NCAA gonna jump on it here in about 3 or 4 more years. It won't be a main thing now.
Oh, I don't know.
They're gonna wait 3 or 4 years, like they did with Michigan, and then.
Oh, were they playing him when he shouldn't have been playing?
That's the only reason they would want.
They were okay. So he was ruled ineligible by the NCAA and allowed to participate by a court order that is later voluntarily vacated, stayed, or reversed. The board of directors is permitted to take action against the institution in the interest in restitution of fairness. Possible actions include vacating individual and team records and performances, declaring the institution ineligible for NCAA championships in the sport and season that the ineligible student played in. It is draconian, says Boise State University Assistant Professor Sam Ehrlich. It's really kind of disincentivizes disincentivizes athletes for being able to seek judicial intervention.
Oh, now hold on. Guess what now, Jason? Now his basic argument, guess what his basic argument, meaning the player argument is? His basic argument is the same reason Aguilar didn't get his eligibility.
Oh.
He's saying that his JUCO year should not have counted against his eligibility.
Well, and they're saying there was an initial ruling that said that he was that the court ruled in his favor too to let him play. Now they're saying, I guess what they're saying right now is that because there was a temporary injunction being ordered September 24th that kept him eligible for the rest of the season in 2025. He was cleared to play pursuant to a decision made by the courts. But they're saying court records indicate the trial was canceled. A notice of non-suit was filed by Moore's attorneys in January 20, the day after Indiana football won the national championship. So essentially, it allowed him to play because he played and everything else. They decided not to carry on with the lawsuit. And so now the NCAA is saying, well, we're going to stick with what our ruling was, and we want money back, or we're going to make it ineligible. I mean, again,
this is very similar to the Alabama basketball player.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in terms of him getting the injunction by the court to be eligible. Now they saying since he came back, Alabama should have to forfeit the games that he played in. I'm just talking about in terms of that. Because technically you would think he would not be eligible because he went to the league. His eligibility was over. But he got an injunction by the court to say, no, you can play. Then months later, they like, no, you got to vacate those games. But no, the court said I could play. And that's what I'm saying about this kid. The court said that he was eligible. So how can you come back and say I was ineligible and take the games away that I've already played? It's been done.
Yeah.
Isn't that like double jeopardy?
Two different cases. So I'll just say that to Penn State. They're two different cases, number one. And like Beeville's bodyguard, you rarely say anything that has any brains to it. So go back and realize that there's multiple situations at play here. What I would tell you is that when it comes to this Indiana deal, I don't understand that. If court told him he could play, and now they're not going to continue to fight it anymore because he doesn't have any more eligibility, then okay. But this is the NCAA going back on that is a little silly. It's a little silly.
But that's the NCAA.
That's an NCAA, Jay. And that's what we're saying is sometimes they're just trying to flex. And in most cases, they really, when it gets down to it, as long as you have documentation, you're going to win because they're not prepared. They just want to flex.
Bama boy trying to stir shit up. Put an asterisk by Michigan and Indiana championships. I love it. They're not going to vacate those games, guys.
No.
You're not going to vacate those games. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
and look, you watched them win the shit. You watched Michigan win it. You watched Indiana win it. I mean, in the case of Bama, Indiana beat the brakes off y'all's ass.
Yeesh.
You can say it didn't happen, but it did.
Yeah.
We watched it. We all seen it. And we saw them do it again the week after that. And we saw them win the 2 weeks after that, too. Against the Miami team that probably should have beaten them.
Yeah. And just to argue that point, Michigan was cheating supposedly when they played us, and we still beat the doors off of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm reading what I was just reading. Thank you, Trojan Fight, for sending it to me. I'll take a look at it. I don't think it's saying a case from 75 may impact it, and I do see that now. Yeah. The NCAA needed to grow a pair. I would not let these goofy judges run the sport. Well, the NCAA has to put some rules out there that are coherent.
Oh, thank you.
And have some sort of actual coherence to what they're doing and evenness. It is what it is. You in here talking smack, bro? You're not bothering me with Oklahoma getting beat by Bama. Bama beat Oklahoma beat Bama too earlier this season and the time before that. So I mean, we could do that all day long if you want to. Yeah, y'all won in the playoff game, but then y'all got embarrassed in Pasadena. So hang a banner for it. Hang your banner for beating OU, bud. Hang your banner.
Yeah.
They have to have legal rules to begin with. Agreed.
Absolutely. And so let me ask you a question. If the court gave an injunction for the young man to play, and now all of a sudden the season's over and they decide to drop it, but the NCAA is like, no. You got that injunction. So are they trying to say would do some compensation for that?
They say they got to vacate. Well, I don't know. Well, I was speaking about
what
they got to vacate games. I don't know if it's necessarily
right. I don't understand why all of a sudden now it's almost like they're took it personal, and it's like, okay, well then, since you got that injunction and you played, but knowing that only reason you played is because of the injunction, I don't know. It seems like double jeopardy to me.
Right. I would not have been eligible to play if the court said I couldn't play. The court said I was eligible to play, so I played. So why would you come back later and say, even if you come back later and find out I was ineligible, what has happened is happened. Let's move forward and we won't make the same mistake twice. But don't go back and penalize the team for playing a player that you say could play.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I don't think it doesn't sound like much. It doesn't sound like much to me. We'll keep our eyes
We'll keep our eyes
later
open
on down the line.
But
that's not something that
they don't want to open Pandora's box with that one.
Yeah, it'd be a stupid deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be stupid.
And it would also let you know how just bad they are as an entity. That you got to backtrack like that. Again,
right.
the NCAA
that's what I was leaning toward. Yeah.
They should be more well versed in these things than anybody out there. They've been around since the inception of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bama boy in here talking his smack. Yeah, y'all should just let him talk. I don't mind going back at him, so it's all good. But it's all good. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump to this next deal. We've been going for a good while, so I'm going to go ahead and Bishop, thanks for coming in.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
But we're going to talk with Shawty here a little bit about Georgia coming up in this next season and stuff like that. Because, obviously they are back-to-back SEC champions and, of course, losing in the opening game of the playoff. But, Shawty, I got to ask you, what are your thoughts coming into this? Because you had a young football team last year. And, I heard Rusty Manziel talking yesterday on the Crane and Company, and he was talking about he felt like it was a year last year that they kind of overachieved, if anything, with as young as they were.
Oh, yeah, depending on which side of the fence you are. I mean, I could see that. We were definitely very young.
Sure. They certainly got better defensively as the year went on, right?
Exactly. And I think that's where we're going to continue to be is upgrade on defense and continue to get better. But just coming into the next year, I think the major piece of our team is going to be the progression of Gunnar Stockton, because I think he looked as if he had a ceiling last year. And that ceiling is not going to be good enough, I don't think, to take us where we need to go. So I think him being able to reach
what was the ceiling, though? I guess I'd ask you that. What do you feel like he couldn't do? Because, I mean, they lost the shootout to in a shootout with Ole Miss, but he'd beaten them earlier in the season.
Well, I think it was, in my opinion, I think it was kind of proven or shown on film that maybe after week 7 or 8, Gunnar Stockton really had a problem against zone defenses. People just decided to only rush 3 or 4 and just drop everybody else back. And Gunnar Stockton had a problem with layering footballs over that zone defense and even reading defenses. I think that really showed a lot. That's why he kind of struggled.
There were some things that he needed to be better at in that, as far as arm talent was concerned. I think he's
Correct.
definitely a competitor, though, right?
So you just took the words out of my mouth, Jason. Every time you hear something about Gunnar Stockton, it's about him being tough, being a competitor. It's never about his athletic attributes. And that's the problem that I have. It's always about him being a team leader. He's competitive. The guys rally behind him. It's not that he has a freaking cannon. And it's not, even his running ability, I think, is overestimated. I think he's a runner, but he's not a true dual threat quarterback. So I think some of the expectations that we had of Gunnar, he didn't meet. I think he was solid in a lot of areas, but I think he has a lot of work to do. Even with the pocket, I think a lot of times in the pocket, he rolled into pressures. He's not very good at climbing the pocket and staying in the pocket. So I mean, I really think if he's coming back as our quarterback, there's going to be two things. We're going to either have to have him make a leap, or we're going to have players around him be much better.
Okay. Trojan Fight says, saw Josh Pate listing Notre Dame and Georgia as two teams that could collapse in 2026. I would wonder why, but I mean, collapses in what? I mean, are we talking they don't make the playoff? Are we talking they're 5-7? What's collapse? What is collapse? So, I mean, I don't know what a collapse is. I mean, to me, I'd have a hard time. I mean, what is a collapse? Just not making the playoffs? Okay. Because Notre Dame already didn't make the playoffs this past season with 2 losses. But what I would tell you about them now, you lost Love and everything, but you also, when you look at what they've done in recruiting with these running backs, they've done a really good job, right? And their defense is stacking up again, and I mean, again, they won 10 games in a row. I don't know why you would think that if you're Josh Pate. With Georgia lost the game to Alabama, avenged that loss in the SEC championship game by 21 points. So I have a hard time.
Yeah, I don't know what collapse means. I don't know what his
top 10 teams that could fall out of the top 25, like Penn State and LSU last year. Yeah, I don't know where he's coming from.
I don't know about that.
Did he give some? I'm guessing that he gave some level of context there. Why does he think that? Could you, if you think that Gunnar Stockton isn't going to take the next step, could that mean that the teams that they're going to play are going to catch up to him, and it's going to be not just losing a game late in the season against a championship contender, but losing games to teams you shouldn't lose to?
Yeah, I just think defensively we're going to be too good to not win 10 games. And again, even if Garner play like he did last year, I think that allows us to win 10 games, unless his surrounding cast is not as good as we were last year. And that's what I'm getting at. We lost a lot on the outside in terms of the receiver position. And if we don't get, if we're not able to, get some of that production back, I can see us not being quite as good offensively, but a collapse, no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule here, and I don't think that they have necessarily the toughest of schedules when it comes to SEC schedules. At Arkansas, Oklahoma, I think obviously that being at home, I mean, I think you got to favor Georgia in that game. Vanderbilt at home, at Bama, Auburn, at home. Then you got an off week. You've got the Gator game, but it's in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, if that was ever, it's supposedly a neutral site game. It's not. That's a home game, bro. At Ole Miss, that would be the one on you circle big. Missouri, at South Carolina, Georgia Tech. Look,
now that's who I can
tough schedule. It is a tough schedule. It is a tough schedule. Do I think that they fall out of the top 25 with that schedule? I don't. I think that they were young enough that I think they probably, if anything, they may have overachieved a bit.
Possibly. Mm-hmm. And to that point, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. It would have been different if we were a young team and you was not able to see the progression that we had. But the team we were the last 4 or 5 games of the season was night and day between the team we played the first 4 or 5 games.
Well, I mean, they weren't able to stop Alabama in week 4 at home, and Alabama wasn't able to get anything going until the fourth quarter in the SEC championship game.
Jason, we were behind 7 of our first 7 games. We were behind at halftime.
Well, see, and that's where I feel like Gunner. I mean, that's why I like Gunner, is that he came in and he was able to, like, a lot of those games he made the comeback. He was standing toe to toe with Joey Aguilar in the Tennessee game. You know, I thought that was huge. He made some big throws and some big runs in that game. Now, did you need more out of him against Ole Miss? I guess you did, but I don't think it was his fault that you got beat by Ole Miss. I think you ran out of time more than anything.
Me either. I mean, I'm just being, picky right here. I'm being very analytical. But again, I think we had, as a team, we had enough around him to win, obviously, more than 11 games. But there were just a lot of instances. And if you're talking about going into the next season where he has to be the proven leader, he has to have a progression. He has to step up, especially from an offensive standpoint, because we're going to be even younger on offense.
True.
When you talk about the skill position.
From the skill positions, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the offensive line should be a lot more solid because
I was fixing to say you also didn't have Bobo there playing in that game in the playoff. Who was your best, your center, your number one center, and center's a very important piece to the offensive line. Yeah. I feel like I'll be honest with you, my feelings on that is you got to play better on defense in that playoff game. You got to find a way to shut down Trinidad Chambliss.
For sure. It was a lot of mistakes in that game. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't put a lot of it on the player. I put a lot of it on the coaches in terms of putting players in positions in certain situations. So, but it's enough blame to go around for everybody.
Who are the guys that you feel like are going to lead the way for them, though, like defensively speaking, especially?
Oh, well, obviously, we're going to have our safety coming back, number 4. I can't even think of his name right now. I'm drawing blanks, but he's going to probably be the leader of that defense. We lost a guy in C.J. Allen, which was our middle linebacker, was the leader. But I do think we have an edge rusher, but he just got arrested. I don't know what's going to happen with that. He got arrested for speeding.
What was the arrest for?
The same thing, speeding.
Oh,
at the maximum limit too. So reckless driving and speeding, and he was our leading pass rusher coming back. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but I think he's going to make tremendous strides if he's back.
So that's which one was it? So the leading pass, he was outside or like
outside. Yeah, I can't think of his name. For some reason I want to say
Gabe Harris.
Was it Gabe? Okay, could have been Gabe.
Gabe Harris is one of those dudes. I mean.
Yeah, Gabe is a stud.
Yeah. He's a senior.
Yeah, he would be one of the leaders to come back. And I can't think of the safety's name. I'm drawing blanks right now. Number 4.
Jamarly. Oh, no, KJ Bolden. KJ Bolden.
Yeah,
he is a stud. Badass dude.
Those are going to be the guys that we lean on in the front 7 and the back half. Those 2 guys are going to be guys that we lean on.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we got a young stud at cornerback coming back, 5-star guy coming back, and he really accelerated his play throughout the year. Number 1, I don't know why I'm drawing blanks. I just know numbers now. But number 1, he proved himself to be a proven starter after week 4. So he's going to
talking about Ellis Robinson.
Ellis Robinson, yeah, he's proven to be a stud at corner. So he's going to be back leading that corner spot. So we're gonna have a few pillars coming back for sure defensively that I think is gonna, lead us in the right direction.
Right. You still got Quintavious Johnson as well. Guys like Elijah Griffin. He's just a sophomore coming back.
Young kid, but he was a stud. But he's a young kid, but he was a stud.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think he, at his position, he rated higher than Jalen Carter at the same time frame. So they really high. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. He was rated, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and then I like Quintavious Johnson too. I mean, he was a good player.
Yeah.
You got to expect
we were
him to be
young.
really
We got a
good
lot
on
of guys
defense.
coming back. Yeah, we got a lot. To your point, we were young. We got a lot of guys coming back, and to that same point, not only are they coming back, but they got a lot of film up under their belt. They got a lot of playing time, a lot of experience under fire last year. So you expect those guys to make a leap.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, and I think that if you look at the early part of the year where they, and I think Oklahoma fans have said if you're going to get, if you have a good time to play Georgia, it's early in the year when they're still working towards becoming what they're going to be. Because if anybody gets their team to develop over the season, it's Kirby Smart and company, right? They get better. I mean, they've done a great job of that. So if you're going to have a shot, that'd be the best time to play them. I think that the same could be said for last year with Alabama. Alabama was better following that early loss to Florida State. They looked a lot better after that. And then, of course, they entered that game with you guys and looked really good against you guys. They didn't at the end of the year. I think injuries probably played a part in that as well. But you certainly have to agree that, man, look, Georgia was a different football team by that time of the year, especially on the defensive side, no doubt.
For sure. Am I to address this question by Trojan Fight?
Sure.
It says, Shawty, how you feel about Dante Williams? His rep at USC was great recruiter, not so great developer coach. Maybe that gets some aspect. There may be some truth in that, but I would say this right here to answer your question, and I hope I answer in totality. Sometimes change is good, just like for a player as a coach. And I'm going to use Zachariah Branch. For some reason, USC didn't know what to do with him. He was able to come here and he led our team in history in terms of receptions. He has a chance to be a second, third round pick. Just like coaches, I would say the same thing. Sometimes a change of scenery is good because you have to understand sometimes where you go and you go to another place, expectations and practice habits are different. And now you have to adapt to that greater level of expectations. So him leaving USC, I'm not down the USC program, but we obviously do things different. So
I can do that for a second if you want me
to. So hopefully him changing programs and being around a different coaching development staff, he'll be able to maybe shine a little bit more than he was at USC. So that's hopefully I answered your question.
I don't know that I would go by anybody's reputation when it comes from Lincoln Riley and his group of guys because, we know that they don't really speak the truth all that often. I'm just saying.
I have heard players say, I don't want to put names out there, but I have heard players say that, what we do at UGA is night and day from what they do at USC.
Yeah. I don't think anybody could argue otherwise, I don't think anybody would argue otherwise. And I can just tell you that having been around, Lincoln Riley teams and the way they were, I can just tell you from being at that practice last year in Athens, that whenever I came out to Athens, I hung around just outside the fence. And I mean, the level of intensity in that practice coming just from Kirby himself. I mean, dude was on that megaphone at all times, barking, just all in the middle of them.
And he got his hands on everything.
Everything. Every bit of it. There's lots of shit going on at one time, man. They got two fields that's rolling,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. He was there before Riley, I believe. Okay. Well.
Yeah, like people don't understand, it used to be a scenario where the ones would practice against the twos. Sometimes you have some one versus ones. Now you got the ones and twos. They all going at the same time. It's no breaks. You used to be a one and you can come off the field and let the twos go while we running two fields at the same. Everybody repping at the same time.
That's what I was saying. Them dudes were like, I put the camera up on because I had that stick and I put the camera up there. I didn't really get any good film to use or anything like that. And I was being kind of careful about it. But all I could tell was that, because I was in that parking lot across the street, But all I could tell is they had everything going on. And then, of course, you could hear him. I mean, you could hear him 2 blocks away, you know, and he was just on them. And watching dudes on both fields, you know, and I was looking to see if he was in the tower. I don't know if he was in the tower or not. I didn't see him.
No, he's not. No, he's not in the tower. He's on the field with the microphone.
Yeah.
Not the microphone, but the megaphone. Or sometimes he does have a microphone.
I think it is a microphone that just it's going out there. But he was on them, man. I was like, man, I don't know what they're going to be like early in the year, but I know that if they can take this coaching, which I think if you're at Georgia, you're going to have to be able to take that, right? Or you're not going to be there.
And that's part of what I was saying about the NIL too. Like, he coaches a little bit different now because the money is at stake. Like, now, if you don't think it ain't no cursing going on, he talking to these people like grown men.
He does. Oh, I heard him cussing. He was cussing the Blue Street. And I'm guessing that it wasn't as. I'm guessing that he probably has toned it down a little bit. That was probably toned down, Kirby.
I think it's probably going to get worse with the way, because we just don't have time anymore, Coach. I mean, you just don't have time. You got to hit the ground running. We ain't
find out whether they can take that shit or not and get them out of there. If not, that makes sense.
Exactly. Listen, Coach, we need them scholarships for somebody who can.
I'm with you, bro. I get that. Messing around. Hey, listen, and I think that there's something to be said for all that, which is why, you know, if we go back to what we were talking about earlier, I think that you got to be careful how much of this you put off on kids and how much of it you put off on coaches. I think that there's a little bit of both sides, but you can't, you know, the expectations can't just be one way. The rules can't just be one-sided either. They just can't be, right? They just can't be. But so now, obviously, losing Zachariah Branch to the draft, what are you've got some guys coming in. I guess I'm looking and see here what they've got as far as freshmen coming in. What are the expectations and who are the guys you're looking to kind of step in and kind of take over in those places at the receiver position? I know tight end hadn't been bad, but it hasn't been, you know, you had Brock Bowers and they haven't had anybody like that.
Well, the tight end position, especially from a recruiting standpoint and a potential and athletic standpoint, we still there. We have probably the best tight end room in the nation. Now, Our problem was I blame our offensive coordinator for not getting the tight ends the ball like they should.
Yeah,
that's another story. But in terms of Zachariah Branch, I think Sakovi White is going to be able to come in and fill some of that void. I think he'll be in his 3rd year in the system, in the program, so I think he's ready to take over. Now, I don't know if he's going to get the same production and amount of attempts that Zachariah Branch got, but I think he's definitely going to be able to fill that void. We were able to get a transfer portal. I can't think of the kid's name.
Isaiah Canyon.
6'3", 6'4" kid, you know, so he's going to come in and help fill the void from some of the size that we lost on the perimeter. And we got some guys like London coming back. He's his 3rd year in the program. It's about time for him to accelerate. Matter of fact, he'll be the guy that has the most experience at the skill position coming back. So,
you're talking about Isaiah Canyon, who came in from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, right. So he should be able to fill that size that we lost on the perimeter. But yeah, we were young, man. We're looking for a lot of guys that are currently here to step up. And I think what we do as a program, now this one thing I do give our coaching staff credit for is, as a program, when we do have holes, we generally fill them very well when we go to the portal. Most guys that we have come from the portal.
Yeah, they don't go for a bunch of dudes, and so they're not going to rank high on that transfer portal rankings or whatever, because they're not. I think that Kirby is one of the last. He's a cherry picker, right? But he's one of the last guys that is going to continue to rely much more heavily on their development skills than they are on bringing somebody in from outside the program. Right. I think that there's some programs that are like that in the SEC especially. I think that Alabama's still not going crazy in the portal. I think that, you know, you haven't seen. I think you've seen a little more of it from Oklahoma than maybe like Georgia and Alabama maybe. But you haven't seen as much as you've seen from like Texas, from Oklahoma. And then, you know, but if you're not winning at the top, you kind of better go and find the pieces to fit, right? I would agree with that.
And let's be honest, Jason, I hope it's not a secret, but it shouldn't be a secret to anyone. If your team goes into the portal for a certain position, that staff don't feel very well about what you have coming back, whether it be from a depth standpoint or experience standpoint, or just you don't feel good about the players. So
or
for
the
whatever
ability standpoint, maybe they haven't developed the way that you wanted them to.
Exactly. So that's why you go into the portal and you bring these guys with experience in, because you want them to be able to walk right in and fill that void.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it from a defensive standpoint. We brought in some safeties and corners this year because we were very inefficient at the safety position last year.
Yeah, so total transfers, you've got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 total transfers in. 8 total transfers in.
15,
most of those are on the defensive side. You had 3 on offense, 5 on the defense. Mm-hmm. So coming in, one of them being Jamarly Riddle, strong safety. You've got playing Jack, you're looking at Amaris Williams. Then you got Braylon Conley at corner, Khalil Barnes at safety as well. And then Gentry Williams, of course, another corner coming from Oklahoma, who, the only reason that he's gone from OU is because of injury problems.
Yeah,
it hurt Oklahoma a little bit. Yeah. He was hurt a lot. And so I know that he was highly sought after by a lot of programs for a long time. The injury issue at Oklahoma, and it may there's, we've talked about it ad nauseum as an Oklahoma show, is that there's been some problems, not just with the medical team and staff, but also I think strength and conditioning hasn't helped in that realm. It sucks for Oklahoma fans Gentry's an Oklahoma kid. So it's one of those kids that's tough, but he's a definitely they've got him listed as the number 2 right now, but he's an NFL type of guy if he's healthy. And I think that's clear that, Kirby and company probably wouldn't have gotten him if they didn't think the same thing.
Right.
They lose Noah Thomas, Dylan Bell, in addition to Branch at wide receiver. I agree. Yeah. Is Zach's Branch brother at safety staying at Georgia? Let me see what they're showing on here.
For some reason, I thought he was out of eligibility, but if he's coming back, I think he's going to help us from a depth standpoint. But he really had a bunch of struggles last year. And again,
they're not showing him on the depth chart. No, yeah, they are. Zion Branch is showing as the number 2 free safety.
Right. So even at this point, he's still not the starter. He had some struggles last year. I think he did get better as the season went on. But if I had to give my opinion, he's not a starting caliber safety for our team.
I can see
we will be looking to replace him if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Which the depth chart shows he's 2 on the depth chart after all the playing time he got last year. He started a few games.
Right. Yeah. Gentry Williams healthy is all that in a bag of chips, bro. He was as a freshman before he got hurt. He was before he got hurt as a sophomore and then junior and then sophomore or junior again. He can do it all. He's got speed. He's got length. He's a cover guy. He gets the job done if he's healthy. But it's about being healthy.
Right.
It's about being healthy with him and possibly a change of scenery. Maybe that helps with that. Now they've made the changes that you would want them to make, but I think they were a little slow at Oklahoma about making those changes. I think I've been clear in my belief of that. I think some of those things should have been taken a long time ago. But anyway, how many games do you think Bama wins this year? I'm thinking this is going to be a bad year for them. Hey, listen, I think that we've talked about this a lot. I think what we're going to do, I want to bring on a Bama guy and talk a little bit more about this. But as a Georgia guy, what are your thoughts about Bama? Obviously that's been the rival for Georgia for the last, 10 years, basically. Whenever you think about it.
Jason, my motto, man. I'm very heavy on the trigger, man. That's kind of where I go with the trigger, man. So I think Bama's going to go as far as their trigger man can take them because, I think they're going to be good defensively. They obviously going to have one of the best rosters in totality of anybody in the nation still. But it's going to boil down to, the experience and the deliverability of their trigger man, who doesn't have a lot of
Russell is the. I think that Keelan Russell is their the guy that I think the highest upside. I like Austin Mack too, but I don't know that I mess around with that especially knowing that if you're Kalen DeBoer, this is a pretty pivotal year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another 9-3 year and you don't make the playoffs. That's now you in deep shit if not fired, right? I don't know that they fire him, but
and he has to find a way. I said it was about the trigger man, granted, rightfully so, but he has to find a way to run the ball.
And that's the point. That's what I was getting at. I think all things equal, if you've got a way where you're running the football well with your running game, with your running backs in your running game, and I think that Brinsky was in here a minute ago. They've talked about that a bunch on their channel, a ton, right? That you got to run the damn football. Same thing we said about Oklahoma, right? Same thing we're saying about Oklahoma.
With the running backs, to your point.
With the running backs, absolutely. Screw that. I don't care about running because this year with Oklahoma, you can't afford to get John Mateer hurt. You get him hurt, you're in deep shit. Right? That's my opinion. But that being said, I kind of feel like if you've got a running game, then Keelan Russell's the way you got to go, to me. But that being said, I don't know that they do. I mean, I would think sounds to me like a lot of people are saying it's going to be Keelan in the end. And I think that he's as electric as you can get. I think the kid can flat out go.
And
but
Jason,
asking him as a first-year starter to do it all for you is not really the way that you're going to be successful there, though.
And even to your point, I'm going more to, I'm being a little bit deeper, I guess, in terms, but it's about the personality of the coach. You have to want to run the football. Kalen DeBoer wants to throw it.
Yeah.
So it just up front, they're just not very physical up front run blocking because of his philosophy.
I think they feel like they're better off with the not having anybody coming back really on the offensive line. Their starters, I think they're replacing 4 of 5. But it's with guys that they like smaller type linemen that can get push and move, though, like with their pin pulls and certain things that I think that they're not looking for those 330 guys and higher. But I don't know that helps you with your run game either. I don't know what that means, right? I don't know, man. Look, I think Kalen DeBoer is a hell of a coach. I don't know that he's the right coach at Alabama at this point, and I don't know that he isn't either. But I don't know that you get enough time to really wait until you have the team exactly how you like to run it. I think that you got to find a way to make the playoff again. I think missing the playoff is not going to be acceptable in Tuscaloosa. I don't think it is.
I agree. It's not.
I think that their floor is probably 8 wins. I think their ceiling, though, is probably 10. So it's not big. There's not a huge difference. I don't know what what do you think?
No, I agree with you. But what I will say, 8-4 being the floor, I agree with you. I mean, it was close to that last year. Well, I mean, a lot of teams are on that. I mean, a lot of teams that win 10 games
they
are really
4 games 2 years in a row. If you count the bowl game.
Well, if you count I wouldn't count the bowl game.
And I don't count bowl games either. I think they're bullshit. Yeah.
So, but in just fairness, a lot of teams that win 10 games are really 3 points away or play 2 away from, losing 2 games. That's just the fact of the matter. If he goes 8-4, Jason, I think he may be fired. If not fired, he's definitely see this very, very high. I think we had a show about this a few weeks ago.
That's what we were talking about on the Gauntlet, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't think I would be surprised if he wins 8 games and he's back next year with that fan base.
I would agree with that. Finesse is French for not winning shit. Okay. Well, we'll talk more about Bama later. Let's finish off. Let's go ahead and finish this with Georgia. What's your ceiling? What's your floor for them? What are your expectations for this Georgia football team? Is this a national championship team as presently put together?
Being fair, I would say no. And the reason I say that is because, you know, we're going to have pretty much the same staff coming back and a lot of the same teams. So I really expect a lot of the same, especially if you think we overachieved last year, which in my opinion should just put us right back where we should be, which is probably in SEC contention and making the playoffs. That's what I see. But being a national championship team, I don't see. I don't think so. I can see us being right back where we were last year and possibly not even winning the conference.
Okay. Wow.
But making the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, why should I expect more? We got the same thing coming back. If you keep doing the same thing, you should get the same results.
I think if you overachieve, though, I guess my feelings on it, if you overachieve a little bit because you're young, I think that you get better throughout that year. They moved up, you know, and outplayed what their ages were and stuff like, you know what I'm saying? I think that they developed on a quicker scale, which would tell me that they're in a better place starting this season to move forward. Now, could they take a step back? Sure. I think that aside from maybe the arrest stuff and losing, you know, if you lose guys to that, I think you could definitely fall off for sure. In the end, I feel like, again, you've got guys there that maybe we haven't talked about because they hadn't played much, but it feels to me like the way that they do develop players in Athens would tell me that I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I would expect them to be in the very thick of the championship race for the SEC, if not the national.
We were last year. Yeah, I'm saying. I think I'm just again now. Don't get me wrong. If you heard me, I think we should be exactly where we were last year. We was in the thick of it last year. We was a top 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about winning the whole thing? I don't think so. Unless we take a major leap, to your point. You know, like I said, we're going to have some things around Gunner and himself.
And Gunner has to take a step forward. It would take Gunner taking that step forward that you talked about earlier. I get it. Mm-hmm. So what's your floor then? What's your floor for them?
My floor, I would say 9 wins. I think we should for sure win 9 regular season games. We have a 12-game regular season, right? Am I correct with that? Yeah, 9 wins for sure. Average, I think, 10 wins, and being right back where we were, 11 wins.
Okay. Yeah. So ceiling 11, 11 and 9. So not much of a big difference.
Right.
How much of it does the 9-game schedule affect how you're feeling about that too?
I don't think it affect us much because we're in the SEC. We've been in this gauntlet, you know, forever. I mean, this is the SEC. I don't think no matter what team they add, I don't think they're at the end of the day. I really only think there are a few top teams in the SEC that could beat us on any given day. True. Granted, we have a hard league. But I just think, again, like I say on my show,
a few teams that can find a way to get up and beat you. I get you.
I feel like, you know, when you want to find, and you guys are going to find this out next year. I'm taking a little shot, but you guys are going to find this out next year. And I said on Respect the Hedges. If you want to know where your program is and where it is in terms of being elite, put us on the schedule. And we're going to let you know how far you're away from being an elite team.
I would agree with that.
And an elite program.
I said this last week when it comes to talking about Oklahoma. I said, look, you're going to find out what they're about right now. Because and mind you, Oklahoma didn't lose a true road game all year last year. You know, they lost the Red River game, which is at a neutral site in Dallas, but they won at Tennessee, they won at Alabama. You know, those are 2 big wins. They won at South Carolina. They won at South Carolina as well.
And that's a big win. Granted, South Carolina, you know, they underachieved.
They weren't very good. But yeah, I know. It's supposed. I mean, one of the tough places to play in the league, right? Mm-hmm. But can you continue being that? I think if you become a road warrior team this year, when you've got to go on the road to Florida, on the road to Georgia, you know, because those are both, you know, who have you lost to at home in the last 10 years? Bama only, right? Just Bama. Pretty much. But, you know, and I'm with you on this, T-Boomer. I like, you know, Gunner's a bad dude. I think he's a bad dude. Now, I do think that there's some things he's got to get better at, but I think as a second-year starter, there's some things he could be better at. Should be better at.
I'm going to ask T-Boomer this, and Jason, you probably know where I'm coming from, because anytime someone says something about Gunner, it has nothing to do with his physical attributes at the position. So T-Boomer,
it's always a dog or he's a competitor. Yeah.
What does Gunner do very well as a quarterback, other than not turning the ball over? What attribute does he have that he does very well that stands out to you? When you answer that when you get a chance.
Yeah. I like it. I like that question. Yeah, look, I like him. I think he does things pretty well. I don't think he does anything necessarily like really well, other than he competes. And I think, look, but I also think that the clutch gene is, but I think that that's an important thing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think that the clutch gene is important, and the fact
that it only takes you so far.
Sure, you'd like it if you didn't have to be so clutch, that you just kind of blew them out early and let it go, right?
For sure.
Didn't get behind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see if Georgia can stick to the future schedule of playing 2 Power 4 teams in addition with the 9 conference games. I think that's a fair question. I think
that's of any SEC school.
Every SEC school, pretty much, right, except for a couple.
Yeah, for the most part.
Now, as far as with Georgia, I mean, look, something that would talking about the Alabama stuff. People are, and I almost brought this up earlier. You start thinking about the fact that there's 9 games, and then Georgia's playing Georgia Tech. That's not going nowhere, folks. That game ain't going nowhere. Florida and Georgia, is a conference game, but that's not going anywhere. But do you continue to play some of these other games in the Power 4? Probably not. But
like we had Clemson the last 2 years.
Yeah. But I don't know that you continue to do that. And I don't know that you should at this point, because at some point you're going to, I want to talk about this on a later show. In fact, I'll have you back on and we'll talk more about this stuff in the Power 4 and on these scheduling, because we've talked about this a lot lately. Look, I think that they got duped. I think that the SEC got duped into doing this before you moved up and bumped up.
Yeah, if you're not going to give guys, which a lot of people don't probably want to go back to it, but with this 9-game schedule in the Big Ten, they think they slick. I see what they're doing, but you're going to have to take strength of schedule into play moving forward. You just have to.
It's there in the bylaws of what they're doing with the committee, that they're supposed to take it more serious, and they even added a metric, the strength of record kind of stuff. You did see 5 SEC teams in, but you also had 6 SEC teams that were at 10-2 or better last year. So I would just tell you that, to me, I don't know that there was anybody that really had a better record or a better strength of schedule per se than what Vanderbilt had, with a 10-2 record and not to get in. Now, Vanderbilt, did they have any really good wins? Probably not, but.
And to Dave Shear, I like what you're saying, but the only thing I would say, if a Gunner could come under center comfortably and do play action with everything you just said, then he would be my type of quarterback.
Yeah. I like Gunner.
To me, play action serves no justice if you can't turn your back to the defense and feel comfortable turning around and throwing the ball to wherever you need it to disseminate.
Shouldn't be RPOs, not real play action. Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
I'm with you there. 1 P5 challenge, 1 G5, and 1 gimme. Look, I think that's what it's gonna take, somebody at the conference level deciding to take over the scheduling and fix that part, if we're gonna really do it, or it's gonna take something else. But we're gonna get into more of that. I want to have a conversation more about that later on. You're still hearing the big argument is whether you go to 16 or 24, and the Big Ten is adamant about going to 24. But And I think, look, there's a world that I could be okay with that, but it ain't going to be a world where you have a committee that's deciding on who the 24 teams are. I want you to have games that matter enough that your conference finishes is what decides on that shit. And you can seed them how you want to, but I think that you should have X amount of teams in every year if we're going to move to that level. To both levels, to be quite honest with you.
The regular season must matter.
It must. And look, we know that there's enough biases within that committee that you can't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
So I should be able to send you my 4 or 5 teams or whatever it is. You know, if you're having a 24, it's going to be probably 5. I should be able to send you the 5 I think are the best, or that one out in the way that we settle it in our league. You can do with them what you want whenever you get them there and seed them how you feel like it. But I'm going to send you the teams I want to send you.
And I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, after seeing what has happened, I don't even care about seeding anymore. I just want to get in. I don't care about the bye. I don't care about being the 12th seed. I just want to get in.
I wouldn't want to buy at all if I'm you guys.
That's why I'm saying I don't care about the seed no more. I just want to get in at this point.
1-7, man. Teams with buys are 1-7 in the first 2 years of this playoff.
Yes. And much as you want to use the
adding, and that's the other thing. There's a lot more that needs to be fixed before we start adding playoff games, in my opinion.
Yeah. That time off, I think, for the teams that get the bye is just too long. I really think that's the problem. It's just too long of a
the
time.
Army Navy getting their own week is stupid. You can have your own time slot, but it shouldn't be the only fucking game happening. Shouldn't.
What is 3, 6, 4, 5? What is he saying? They
want 3, 6, 4, 5 games in the SEC and Big Ten. Yeah, and I'm with that all day. No championship game. Let's play 3 and 6 and 4, 3 and 6 and 4 versus 5 for the other 2 spots. If you go to a 16 game,
I just don't see them doing away with championships. So when you do away with championship, man, you're talking about coaches' escalators being, taken away.
Well, you'd still have a conference champion. It would just go by the regular season standings.
But what happens when so then you got to put in all these parameters of tiebreakers. Like you say, we had 3 teams that finished 10-2.
But at least if you're having more games, so like, look, 3 teams that finished 10-2. You had one that was 11-1, right? I mean, yeah, but as far as the schedule was concerned, as far as the SEC standings were concerned, you had 3 tied at the top, right? Or was there? Yes. Ole Miss was tied at the top.
Yeah,
but Alabama would have won that tiebreaker.
Texas A&M, Georgia.
Actually 4 then. You're right.
Yeah, because Texas A&M only had 1 loss.
That's right, 11-1. Same with Ole Miss. Same with Georgia. Same with Bama. Only had 1 loss in the conference.
Right, exactly.
But Bama was the
Bama beat us head to head,
number 1 seed in the conference though. And they had more losses. They were the number 1 seed though.
Right, and they beat us head to head.
Yeah. So if you have head to head, you don't have such a big problem with the tiebreaker like that, right? But if you don't have head to head and then you lose a tiebreaker, then you're probably not too happy about that.
Exactly. For sure.
Here's the thing. I think that you would trade a conference championship for a natty, though.
Yeah, that's a big if.
even a shot at a natty. Would you not trade the conference championship for a shot at the natty? You just said you didn't care about playing the conference championship game anymore.
No. I didn't say that. I said I don't care about the seeding. I don't think conference. I like the conference championship because at the end of the day, whether you win or lose, you still gonna get a shot at the natty. For the most part.
Yeah, true.
So I'd rather have the chance to win the SEC championship than not play for it at all. Because you still gonna make natty regardless if you win or lose.
Well, but even if they don't play a conference championship game and you tied for it or you were right up there with it, if you're within that area to play for it, even though it's the same thing.
But it ain't like winning it.
I'll give it to you.
That's the point. That's the point. It ain't like winning it.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. All right. We've been going for a while. So I appreciate you coming in. We'll get together on this conference scheduling and stuff later because I want to get more people in. And I think we should get Really Flawed to come back in. Marcus, obviously, and maybe some other guys. So we'll have some more people in to talk about that kind of stuff. But, man, I appreciate you coming in and talking with us about Georgia. You know, I got to talk to my guy, you know, whenever you do that. So whenever we get to talking about UGA, I want to talk to a UGA player, man. So I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, man.
Tell everybody how to find you.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Hall of Fame, and I always appreciate the opportunity to come on and chop it up. You know, they say iron sharpens iron, so you know it's always informative for me as well. To not just me giving my opinions and my knowledge, but it's also informative to me, man. So I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, man. You can find me on Hall of Fame whenever I'm invited and I get a chance to come on. You can obviously find me on Respect the Hedges as well, which is a Georgia show. You can also find me on my show when I do it, Just My Damn Opinion. So, yeah, look at that, man. Check it out. It's not just sports. It's a little bit of everything. So I would say just get your mind right if you want to subscribe to Just My Damn Opinion because you never know.
Good stuff, man. I love it. You need to hurry your ass up and get back on.
I know, man. I just, you know, I'm going through this transition, man. So I'm finally, you know, getting things settled in. So I'll be back on here pretty soon.
Okay, cool. We'll get over there and check him out. Make sure you guys check him out at Just My Damn Opinion. Respect the Hedges also. It's a bunch of guys that played at Georgia. Coach I, who went to Georgia as well. And I mean, good show. Great show. I love watching it too. We used to, you know, when Coach was with us, we were on Tuesday night, so I didn't get to catch you all the time. But since he's not with us anymore, I've been watching you guys more. So,
and I don't know what's going on, man, but I used to get like the notifications when your show coming out. I don't get it anymore.
We're not on Tuesdays, so we haven't been going on Tuesdays. But
I don't get it, period, at all. Any notification.
Keep looking because I've been doing more the stuff that I should have been doing. There were some things we weren't doing enough of correctly, and our numbers had dropped a little bit to where they weren't recommending us as much. So, and even notifying people. But I would tell you, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and it should help it. It's definitely helped with some of the other people. So I appreciate that, though.
All right.
I appreciate that. Let me know, and I'll keep asking you about it because I hadn't. But like Big Mike wasn't getting them at all, and now he's getting them again. So and I think a lot of people are. So and we've made the adjustments that we needed to make, and I needed to talk to you about a couple of those things that you might be able to do to help yours out too. So because I got a consultant to do it. So anyway, but yeah, man, appreciate you, bro. We're gonna call it a day on that one. Thank you guys for jumping in and hanging out with us on the SEC Drive, guys. Make sure that you're sharing the channel. Please share the channel. You know, make sure you hit the like, man. I'm almost to 5,000. We've been almost to 5,000 all damn year. Help us out. Help us get there. It'd be great. You know, we're about
give something away, man. Give something away.
I give something away. I got to start getting some damn subs, but we will give something away. You know what? I'll tell you this. Since we didn't get there last year at the end of it, and we should have been there pretty close at the end of at this time last year when if we get to 5,000 before March 1st, I'll give away 2 free copies of College Football 2027. Awesome. The new one coming up.
Awesome.
I'll give away 2 copies. If before March 1st. So you got 9 days. If it's after March 1st, we might give away 1. But we'll talk about it. We're talking about 80 people. You can share the show. And
you give it away to 5K subscriber. I mean, how you gonna do that?
We'll just do it random for the people that were already here.
Okay.
For helping us get there.
Well, if you do
two kind of random choosing.
I'll say if you do 2, give 1 to a random and give 1 to the 5K subscriber.
Okay, could do that. Yeah, we could do that.
Because that would push it to get to 5K.
I'm with you. Yes, if you become a new subscriber, if you're the number 5,000, well, I'll tell you this. If you're one of the last, what we should do is if you're one of the last 80, because you helped us to get to 5,000. If you're one of the last 80, then I'll pick one random from that group,
Right.
and then one random off the guys that were here before that. That's what we'll do.
Right.
It's got to be by March 1st, so get it done. 8 days. 8 days to go.
Subscribe to the channel, man.
Yeah. Don't be a hoe. Share the show.
There you go.
That's a JJ Kitchen special right there. All right, man. Appreciate everybody coming in. Thank you, Jimmy. See you guys all on the next one.